Yeah.
Good morning.
You're like the Frisco Kid with that sound, man. Excuse me while I whip this out. Which is not what the Frisco Kid said, but it's the same movie, and I just wanted to say that on the radio.
Yeah, but this is my shooting hand.
Ladies, gentlemen, boys, girls, children of all ages, welcome in the Wednesday edition of the Rob Brown Show is on your radio. This is the Fan Upstate. How do you do, Upstate South Carolina? Good morning, America. What up, world? How's everybody? Y'all doing? Everybody having a good week so far as we are halfway home, baby. It's conference championship weekend. We're going to get into that coming up later in the show. We spent a good chunk of the show yesterday coming up with some different potential playoff scenarios and what those might end up looking like. We'll talk more about that again later in the show because I had more thoughts. I do that sometimes. We're going to talk NBA because the moment you've all been waiting for, ladies and gentlemen, next Monday and Tuesday, the quarterfinals of the NBA's in-season tournament are set to go. We got a couple of games on Monday. We got a couple of games on Tuesday. The winners from those games will move on to Las Vegas in the semifinals. If your team did not make it, don't at me, bro. Mine did. The Pellies headed out to Sacramento in the quarters.
Is he still playing?
Z is still playing. Not only still playing, but rocking rims nationwide, baby.
All right, this is like a month in? I mean, I don't even know how long the season's been going.
I need you to shut it right now because I am very worried.
Okay, all right.
I need you to stop putting that energy out into the universe, Lonzo.
Is this like the longest that he's played?
Real close.
So far? I mean,
real close.
I would like him to play an entire season because I think that would be amazing. I'm not trying to put a jinx on anything.
I got to tell you, not only is dude playing right now, but he's kind of balling out a little bit. CJ McCollum should be returning soon when they get that three-point threat back. BI with the mid-range jumper, Z on the block. The Pellies are no joke this year, baby.
He should be pretty fresh. I mean, because, it doesn't play a lot. So
CJ?
No. yeah, him too.
Oh, it's
okay.
like CJ hadn't played because he got a busted up knee. Yeah. But he's coming back. Okay. I'm telling you. Pellies to the chip, baby. All right, listen, I want to get into all that. And we're going to have a lot of fun with all that. But first, we have to go with what I think is the best thing, the best thing that has happened so far in sports this year. You're fired! Corey Perry. All right, you don't know who Corey Perry is. That's okay. All right?
I didn't, but I do now.
Yeah. Most of you don't know who Corey Perry is, and that's okay. I don't expect you to. I'm going to tell you. And it's not going to matter what Corey Perry has ever done on the ice, as he is a professional hockey player, formerly of the Chicago Blackhawks. Formerly, because Corey Perry's contract was terminated yesterday. And it was kind of out of the blue because Corey Perry is a pretty good hockey player. Young cat, pretty good hockey player. He was very randomly, by the way, he's a Hart Memorial Trophy winner. This is not a nobody. This is a somebody. He disappeared from the team. He was a healthy scratch in Columbus last week. Everybody went, yo, he's what? He's what? He's what? This is big. You don't just have a Hart Memorial winner just scratched as a healthy scratch. There's something to that. Well, after being a healthy scratch in Columbus last night, he suddenly disappeared from the team's website. People are like, what is happening right now? Then last night, well, yesterday afternoon, I guess, we got the notice that Corey Perry's contract was terminated by the Chicago Blackhawks. And everybody went, what? That's very weird. And of course, as the social media world is wont to do, we all begin to guess and speculate what happened. The team called it an organizational decision and said that his contract was terminated effective immediately and cited, quote, unacceptable conduct, end quote. Now, this is where it gets fun. There's another player on the team. His name is Connor Bedard. You may or may not have heard of Connor Bedard. Connor is an 18-year-old who was just drafted into the league, and Connor Bedard is expected to be Gretzkyan, like real good, prodigy, legend in the making. Connor Bedard is a dude that when Chicago drafted this guy, they were like, yo, multiple Stanley Cups incoming, baby. We about to light this league up with Connor Bedard. He's that guy, right? He's him. So, Connor Bedard shows up. Perry's contract gets terminated, and the speculation going around on the internet. Now, you know that I am a critic / cynic / skeptic, okay? I am 100% of the mindset. I've been saying it since I've been on the radio. I do not believe a thing until I have good evidence to believe a thing. Unless that thing is really funny. Really funny. If there is a conspiracy theory that genuinely makes me laugh, then I'm like, yep, this is true. This is my reality now because it is hilarious. The rumor that has been going around on the internet is that about a week and a half ago, that would be right before Corey Perry disappeared from the Blackhawks organization website and now contract list, the Chicago Blackhawks had a team outing together. You know, they all went out and families were invited. Bring your fam, right? Bring the mom, bring the dad, bring the brother, bring the sister, bring the wife, bring the kids, bring the dog. Let's all go out. We're going to have a nice little picnic, and we're all going to spend some time together as an organization. And I think that's wonderful team building. I'm very much of the Ted Lasso mentality. Your team should be operating as one. And the best way to do that is to have some bonding time.
Yes, bonding time. I mean, your team should be just like family.
Yeah.
They should.
Yeah. What your team should not do is sleep with each other. Well, with the fam. What do you mean, Rob? Well, the hot and heavy rumor going around right now is that at this team outing, Mr. Corey may have slipped away into the evening with a young woman. And when I say young, I mean young, in her 30s. The mother of Connor Bedard, the prodigy. Yep. So the rumor going around now, is that the former Hart Memorial Trophy winner, Corey Perry, slipped away on this team outing with the mother of Connor Bedard and got some bow chicka bow wow going. Listen, I'm going to give you all a little bit of advice right here. You can take this from old Uncle Rob. Don't do your coworkers' moms. All right? That's free advice from me, buddy. That's free advice. Listen, if you would like to go out, tie one on, have a couple of drinks with a young lady, head back to the house, and participate in the old unskinny bop, 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 you have my full support. Live your life. If you would like to go out and have a little fun and have some adult recreational time with the young lady, I'm going to give you the old Rob Brown seal of approval. Life is short. Have a great time. Don't bleep your coworker's mom, dude.
All right, I'm looking up pictures. So I mean, because I think you need to.
She's an attractive lady, ain't no doubt.
She's all right. I don't know that she's worth throwing your career over.
Oh no, she ain't that hot.
Yeah, I mean, you're spending quality. I'm guessing there was probably drinks involved in the thing, and maybe she got prettier as the night went on. I'm just saying. I mean, no. I mean, she's not ugly, but she's not like, oh my God, your mom is hot type thing.
I went out last night with some of the buddies, some of the boys. We went and do it. So we're doing every other Tuesday. We do a bros cigar and whiskey night, right? It's kind of like, instead of going to therapy, we all go meet up at a bar. We have a couple of cigars.
What do you guys need therapy for?
Oh, many things. So me and there were 3 or 4 of us last night. We're sitting around the table. We go at like 6 in the evening. It's not like a tie a bender on every Tuesday.
That's like midnight for you.
Yeah, it really is. That 6 in the evening because I couldn't get them there at 5:30, right? So we all go up about 6 and we're sitting there and I've got a
Do you hit the cafeteria for the blue plate first?
Dude, you're older than me. Stop.
Hey, when you reach a certain age, saving money, you know.
So we went to the bar. We're having a couple of drinks. I had a little plantation spiced rum over an ice cube. All right. Nice little, I went with the bold stogie last night. And we're sitting at the table. Keegan was one of the ones that was there. And we're kicking this story back and forth. And we all kind of had this moment of like, is this the ultimate non-bro move? Like, it's the ultimate non-bro move, right? Like, we're bros. This is our bro venting session. You come here, if you're having any problems, you get them off your chest to the boys. It's a safe space, you know? You can complain about what's going on in your life to the boys. All the boys have their moments together. We all walk out of there feeling better. I'm going to tell you right now, get yourself some boys that smoke cigars and drink whiskey together. It'll change your life for the better. And everybody goes home feeling real good about their lives. And we're talking about this. And I'm like, this is the ultimate unbro move, bro.
Yeah, but wouldn't you want to play hockey with your new dad?
So I'm so glad you said that, because I thought when somebody said that, I think it was either Keegan or our buddy Andrew. I was like, could you imagine the best possible outcome here? The best possible outcome is this all goes down. Corey Perry shows up to practice the next day. Connor gets out to the rink, jumps on the ice, skates up to him. He's like, Corey. And Corey's like, no. You can call me stepdad now. Like, oh, no. We got to fight. We got to fight right now. We got to fight right now.
It just skates up and, come on, son. Let me show you how it's done.
Yeah. Come here. Let's stepdad show you how the wrister works.
You little scamp, yeah.
Oh, man. So the hot, heavy rumor going around on the internet right now is that Corey betted Bedard's mom, and it got him cut from the team. Here's the thing. Corey Perry is good enough to he's going to get picked up by another team. They put him on waivers. He's going to get picked up by another team. There ain't no doubt about it. My favorite part is that at some point, he's going to be picked up by another team. He's going to be on the first line. They're going to go out there against the Chicago Blackhawks, featuring Connor Bedard. And every time Bedard gets a break, comes down the ice, waiting for him is Corey Perry, who's going to go right before Bedard lines up a slapper for the netty. You're going to hear from across the rink, oh, my thing's broke in. I bleeped. Oh, there it was. I ruined my joke. Your mom. And there's nothing he can do about it, even if it's not true. Right?
So there's no chance that they could be in a face-off when they drop the puck.
I have no idea.
So they can go, hey, man. How's your mom doing?
Hey, tell your mom I said hi.
Tell your mom I'll see her tonight.
Yeah. Your mom. There's no coming back from that smack talk. There's no coming back from that. And here's the realization I had. First and foremost, if you're Connor Bedard and this rumor drops, right? Or you know it already. How's that phone call to your mom go? How's that phone call to your mom go? Mom, what the hell? Are you serious? One of my teammates, dude, because this is a realization I had. Do you remember, Zoe, a couple of years back, the rumor going around about LeBron James and Delonte West, right?
Yes, I do remember.
The rumor was that Delonte did the old horizontal tango with LeBron's mom. And we all kind of forgot about that every now and then, except for there's a reason for we forgot about that. What's the reason we forgot about Delonte West bow-chicka-bow-wowing with LeBron's mom? It's because it's LeBron. It's because LeBron is constantly setting new records in the NBA that kind of make, dude, your mom got shagged by a fellow player, go to the wayside. You know what that means for Connor Bedard at 18 years of age? He's got to be the LeBron James of hockey, or his legacy is your mom got tagged by a teammate in your rookie year, dude. That's not rookie hazing. That's like bro murder is what that is. He's got to be the LeBron James of hockey, or his legacy is a teammate boned your mom, dude.
He's doomed to be lonely because he can't make friends with any of the other players.
No,
because they're gonna be like, hey, can I come over? Is your mom gonna be there?
Yeah.
I mean, they're gonna. Yeah.
First off, mom, you're not coming to any hockey things ever again. Never again. You're not invited to the end of year dinner. You're not invited to practice. You're not coming on team activities anymore, because apparently your activities are the team. That's what you're doing. My teammates. Mom, what are you doing? This dude has to now be the LeBron James of hockey, or his entire legacy is your mom. Well, you get it. Corey Perry, he shoots, he scores with Connor's mom. Like, that's your legacy now. Mom, you just put your son in a spot where if he is not the greatest to ever do it, this guy's going to retire. He's going to have 10,000 points, 10,000 assists. He's going to get to the mic for his retirement press conference. Question number one goes to that guy. Yeah, hey Connor, this is Jim from the Chicago Daily. Quick question: How impressive is your career in hindsight that in the rookie year, a teammate banged your mom, and he's got to live with that?
So the funny part, while I was trying to find, some people seem to think his mom was CJ Perry.
It's not.
If it was, there would be
I would also shag Connor's mom.
There would be no question about why things were done the way
that was
were.
Unbelievable. Listen, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna even this up a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna even this up a little bit. Ladies, we've reached a new era. If you would like to go out there and do the hanky-panky, have a little fun, the old and skinny bop with a professional athlete, have at it. We're all adults here. Live your best life. But, ladies, should you ever have a son, if you currently have a son, I'm going to ask one favor of you. On behalf of sons everywhere, please don't sleep with your son's friends ever, at any age, any level. Don't do it, all right? Don't do it. There's plenty of fellas out there, good-looking fellas, plenty of hunks out there for you as well. Don't sleep with your son's friends or coworkers. Don't do it. Forget your life. They have to move and change their identity if that happens, just to have a normal life. All we will ever talk about from now on is Connor Bedard. Oh, that's the dude whose teammate slept with his mom, right? And the answer is maybe. Whether it did or didn't happen, this is the legacy now, man. This is the legacy now. What a story. This dude now has to be the LeBron James of hockey, or else all we've got is, dude, your mom. We're a very professional sports talk radio show around here, all right? But if you thought for a damn second that wasn't lead off of this show, you don't know me at all. at all. We got to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk some conference championship football. I have a question for you. What happens in the rankings? I don't think it's going to happen. But what happens if Alabama blows the doors off of Georgia this weekend? What happens? Let's talk about that and more when we come back. Rob Lonzo, you, the Rob Brown Show's on your radio. Howdy, y'all. It's Wednesday. This is the Fan Upstate. All right, guys, got a live read right here. Stay right there. We'll be right back. right, dudes and dudettes. Good to have you guys. Connor's going to be good enough. No worries. He better be. He better be. Not a great legacy. It's not a bad legacy. His mom's a full-grown woman. She can do what she wants, but that sucks for him.
What if it's not true, though? I mean, people are going to believe it's true.
100%. I feel bad talking about it, but I can't not.
My title for the chapter is Real Housewives of Hockey.
He shoots, he scores with your mom.
So there's some joke about netting in there somewhere, but I'm just not,
I'm actually down, Steven. I had 0 last week. I was off of them. But I'm going to tell you, I have not slept well this week. I have a fun little reality that I deal with of insomnia, and every now and then it just goes on like a week-long run, and I'm in one right now, which is terrible. But the answer, Steven, is way down. I'm basically back down to 1 a day now, which for a hot minute there, it was a lot more than that. The Rob Brown Show carries on. It is the Fan Upstate. The college football playoff rankings have dropped on our heads. Watched it yesterday evening. First off, I'm going to say this, and then we'll circle back around to what I want to get to. At the end of the college football playoff selection show, they always trot out the college football selection committee chairman. And I got to tell you, it's the most pointless television I've ever seen. Like, I understand this is all about theatrics. It's all about drama. It's all about hyping up the playoffs so that we'll be invested. And frankly, it works to some degree. We were doing our bro night last night when the playoff rankings came down, and we all stopped our conversation to watch when they got to the top 6. But at the end, they trot out the chairman and they ask him all these questions, and he does a wonderful job of saying absolutely nothing at all. Like, it's politician bad. And speaking of politician bad, yes, we will be doing some audio from the David Tepper press conference later because it was politician bad. All right. Anyway, here's your playoff rankings as they dropped. Kansas State slots in at 25, undefeated 12-0 Liberty at 24. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the college football playoff rankings, the Clemson Tigers, who are number 23 in the country at 8-4.
Wait, not 2, not 1, not 4.
Nope. I suspect Clemson's going to need a lot of help this weekend to get back into the playoffs. All right. I'll say this. If Florida State, Washington, Michigan, and Georgia all lose 4 games this weekend, Clemson's got a shot, right? They currently check in at number 23. They're behind Tulane, Tennessee, 21. Oregon State. DJ is at number 20. NC State is at 19. There it is. 18, Oklahoma State. Notre Dame, 17. Iowa, 16 in the Big Ten title game. Arizona is at number 15. Louisville at number 14. LSU at 13. Oklahoma's 12. Ole Miss, 11. And Penn State at 10-2 is number 10. Inside the top 10, number 9, Mizzou at 10-2. Then we get to our log jam of one-lossers. Alabama at number 8, one spot behind number 7, Texas, one spot behind number 6, Ohio State University. Ohio State slots in behind number 5, Oregon. And then, as I told you, was the inevitable conclusion, the 4 undefeated teams are 1, 2, 3, and 4. At the 4 spot, Florida State University has slid back in after a gut-out win over Florida. At number 3, Washington is 12-0, and in a fist fight this weekend, they are touchdown underdogs to the Oregon Ducks in the Pac-12 championship. Michigan is number 2 after they finish off Ohio State University, and the Dogs, Georgia, checks in at number 1. At
all right, so I don't get this. And that hurts me to say. Why is Michigan not number 1? It doesn't. I mean, so Georgia struggles with Georgia Tech, and Michigan plays a team ranked ahead of them, and all they do is move up one spot. Michigan should be number 1. I don't know why Georgia is number 1.
Georgia is number 1. Well, I'll say this: they asked the playoff committee chair this question, and basically, he said nothing. I'm gonna tell you what the answer is. They don't want you to know that this is the answer. And I'm not a big, they don't want you to know guy.
This is a matchup thing.
No, this is 100% because Georgia's won a lot and they haven't lost in 3 years. That's it. It's because Georgia hadn't lost in 3 years. That's the reason. Because I'll tell you right now, if you've watched Michigan and you watched Georgia, I would say Michigan's probably a 2.5-point favorite over the Dogs right now.
At least, yes.
Okay. But I would also say it's got a lot to do with the fact that, and this is the part you may not like, great one, the Big Ten is not anywhere near as good as the Southeastern Conference. The Big Ten is incredibly top-heavy. You've got Michigan, you've got Ohio State. I'm going to go ahead and tell you, you're not getting credit for Penn State because they got blown out of the water by both of those teams. So you don't get credit for Penn State being a good team. So you have Michigan, Ohio State, and then you got a bunch of, people love to say good defenses, but the reality is any defense is going to look good playing the Big Ten's offenses. They're all bad with the exception of Michigan and Ohio State. That's it.
This is one of those cases where ball and I don't, because there's nothing you can say that's going to convince me that Michigan shouldn't be number 1.
That's fine. I'm not going to say, listen, at the end of the day, they're in. And that's what matters.
Now,
right?
Last year was totally different. Georgia deserved to be number 1. This year's team is totally different as far as that goes. They're not nearly as dominant. Michigan has been. And I think they should be number 1.
So
in the end, it doesn't matter. You got to beat the teams that you need to beat in order to be the champion. But it's just no.
I'm gonna tell you why Georgia gets it. Okay, here's why Georgia gets it. When you look up and down Michigan's schedule, you had 2 ranked games. You had Penn State. Turns out Penn State, they are a top 10 team to finish the year, but Penn State beat nobody. They beat nobody. Look at Penn State's schedule. They had 2 games, Michigan and Ohio State. They did not win either one of them. Penn State beat nobody. Now, all the nobodies they beat the hell out of, which is all you can ask them to do. But they have no ranked wins at all. Scratch that. They have an Iowa ranked win.
All right. It would seem
that's it.
It would seem to me, and this is speculation, but I don't care. It would seem to me that you leave Georgia at number 1 because you believe they're going to lose to Alabama, so you can drop them to 4 and not drop them out of the poll. But if you put them at 2, you have to drop them out of the playoff.
I don't think I understand that logic, and I'm not going to say that logic is wrong. I don't think that's why he did it. I think he did it because, frankly, Georgia has a better resume than Michigan. That's it. And the fact that Georgia has been on a tear, because with the exception of the Georgia Tech game, which I'm going to give them credit for 2 things. Number 1, it's the best Georgia Tech team of the last ever. And number 2, it's obviously a clear look-ahead game with Alabama the next week. The biggest threat they have on the schedule is Alabama, hands down.
No, you can't be doing the look-ahead thing. You can't go, well, they were looking ahead. No, you dominate the team in front of you, and they didn't.
I mean, again, super easy to say, but we all know.
Are these the kind of arguments we would be having if you and I were on the committee?
This is the type of argument the committee was having. I guarantee it. I guarantee it.
I don't know.
I guarantee it.
I think they're run by marketing.
There's absolutely an element of it. Absolutely an element of it, because you got to stir up drama for this whole thing. Now, do I think that there's any reason do I think that drama is a reason Georgia's number one? No. Georgia's schedule is more difficult than Michigan. Georgia's list of wins is more impressive than Michigan's, right? Michigan's list of impressive wins is Ohio State, Penn State. And Penn State is not that impressive, not because Penn State's bad, but because the best games on the schedule for Penn State, Michigan and Ohio State, they got smoked. But not that they lost. They got smoked. And you go, wait a minute, Rob, it was 24-15 Michigan. Yeah, they threw the ball twice in the second half. Twice. They got smoked by the Wolverines. So there's frankly nothing impressive about Penn State, which means Michigan's resume is we beat Ohio State. That's the whole resume as far as I'm concerned. You didn't have Iowa on, or you have Iowa on there in the Big Ten championship game, but you didn't have Iowa. So where's the impressive wins on Michigan's schedule to elevate them over Georgia?
All right, where are the impressive wins? I guess they beat Missouri. I'm talking about Georgia.
Top 25 Tennessee, top 10 Ole Miss, top 10 Missouri, top 20 Kentucky. There's 4 ranked off the top of my head.
Okay. All right.
I mean, it's more, the Big Ten is incredibly top heavy with 2 of the best, I would say 5 teams, because I think Ohio State beats Florida State by 2 touchdowns.
I'm just going by the eye test. And if I go by the eye test, Michigan looks better than Georgia.
See, this is.
And the eye test is supposedly part of it too.
Supposedly part of it. But it is fun. We had this exact conversation yesterday. It is a part of it. But it is a part of it, and it's not even the most significant part.
Yeah, well, you don't know that. See, that's the thing. They say these are all factors. I think certain things weigh heavier depending on the individual. And I would guess certain individuals in the committee think the eye test is more important.
There may be.
So there's no way you can put a percentage on what is the most important thing when there are multiple factors.
I think that you can to some degree, primarily because of the results that we have been looking at, right? I mean, listen, eye test, I'm going to say Georgia, Michigan. Like I said, I lie. I would probably say, based on Michigan, Ohio State, I would probably say I'm going pick 'em game between Georgia and Michigan. And I'm not going to flip number 1 out of that spot, because remember, there is an element to this that does matter, in that the number 1 seed is going to play closer to home in that first bowl game. You do get a bit of an advantage, regardless of which 2 bowls are the semis. You get to play in the one that's more advantageous to you. So it does matter to some degree, because Georgia will be playing closer to home, and Michigan would have to travel further. Maybe, depending on how it lines up. So I would say it's a pick 'em game, Georgia, Michigan, without a doubt. I would say, but there's another aspect to this, right? If we're going 1, 2, 3, 4, does anybody want to argue to me right now that Florida State would beat Ohio State? Nope. Would anybody argue that Florida State's going to beat Oregon? Nope. Would anybody bet that Florida State would beat Texas? Nope. Would you argue with me that Florida State would beat Alabama? I'm going to tell you right now, I got to go all the way down to number 9 Mizzou before I find a team that I'm like, I think Florida State with a backup quarterback can beat that team. But keep in mind, we have somebody pointed this out to me earlier this week, and I think that it's very fair. Somebody said the playoffs have been incorrectly labeled as the best 4 teams.
Because it's usually the best 3.
I'm not even going to say the word best is irrelevant. It's the 4 most deserving teams. I think deserving is a better word to use here. And when we come back here in a second, because we're off the clock, when we come back here in just a second, I am going to explain to you why it is that the correct label for the college football playoffs is not the 4 best teams, it's the 4 most deserving teams. And we'll do that when we come back. My name is Rob Brown, the great one, Lonzo on the 1s and 2s. Join us on the stream, Facebook.com/TheFanUpstate, Twitter.com/TheFanUpstate, on YouTube, The Fan Upstate, and The Rob Brown Show on Twitch. Come behind the scenes. We'll be talking in the break with folks like Scotty, who jumped in and said Michigan's eye test is against a bunch of nobodies. Correct.
He looks kind of angry because he used like 3 exclamation marks.
He's right, though.
Is he?
Michigan's eye test is Ohio State and nobody else.
Is he?
Yes.
Because the SEC is not as impressive this year as it normally is.
Correct, but the SEC has Alabama, Ole Miss, Mizzou, LSU. They've got a host of top 25s.
Pac-12's better.
No, I don't disagree either.
Yeah.
Which is why Washington is so high above everybody else, and Oregon's on the outside looking in. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Oh, this is gross, but I'm going to tell the stream. I had a real bold. I'm not a bold cigar guy. I'm a medium at most cigar, like medium cigar. I had a bold cigar last night. I have brushed my teeth 3 times since I got home from the bar, and I still got cigar taste in the back of my mouth, and I can't get rid of it. I brushed my teeth when I got home from the bar. Always the first thing I do when I get home. I showered. I got out. I ate dinner. You know what I made? I made Christmas crack. Ate a couple of pieces of Christmas crack. Still had it. Brushed my teeth again.
By the way, Christmas crack, not actually crack for some people who think, it's cocaine. It's not.
It's not.
Yeah.
But I made it from scratch.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, it was incredible. I should have brought you a piece. I'll bring you a piece tomorrow. If Courtney doesn't eat it all before I get home. I made a big sheet about that big. Oh.
Yeah, my cousin makes some every year and usually brings some.
Out of this world. I also, now I know how to make caramel homemade. I didn't know that.
That's probably not a good idea when you're trying to lose weight. I'm just saying. That being said, with this entire conversation, I'm rooting for every favorite to lose this weekend just because the chaos for the last 4-team playoff would be so much fun.
If Georgia, Michigan, Washington, and FSU all lose, and you have 12-1 Georgia, 12-1 Michigan, 12-1 Ohio State, 12-1 or 11-1 Ohio State, 12-1 Washington, 12-1 Florida State, 12-1 Texas, 12-1 Alabama. That's 8 teams for 4 spots.
Oh, that'd be
all of them have an argument.
Yeah, that'd be so much fun.
Oh, it'd be a blast.
And
there would be a lot of mad people next Tuesday.
Yes.
A lot of mad people.
It's probably not going to pan out that way, but I wish it would, just because, because my team's not in there. So, I mean, if your team's in there, of course you don't want that to happen. I mean, if you're a Georgia fan, you want Georgia to win.
Yeah, you don't want to leave it up to chance.
But Georgia and Washington both have the toughest tests. So
Washington's a touchdown and a half.
I think Alabama's a pretty tough test.
Alabama's a tough test. I'm telling you right now, Oregon is to me the best of the 1-loss teams. I think Oregon's a 1.5 favorite over Alabama right now.
I can't wait till next year because it's just more meaningful football. It's going to be awesome. There was a time when it took forever to get to the national championship game. Now it just seems like, boom, it's here. It's gone. Football's over. So at least as far as college goes.
Friend of the show, Susan, who is the photographer from Clemson, texted me last night. And she's like, yesterday afternoon. And she's like, I just got back. She was taking pictures of something. She's like, it just blew my mind. I just realized that Saturday was the last game for Clemson. I mean, they got a bowl game, but of games that matter, it was the last game for Clemson. She's like, how? We just started football season.
Yeah, it did seem to go by really, really fast.
Mm-hmm.
It went by even faster when we moved to morning.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because the day is.
I agree with that.
This is what we wanted. And I have to remind myself sometimes, but it just makes the day weird. It does.
100% it does. 100% it does.
I'm at home at 3 p.m. going, why?
What?
Why do I want to go to sleep right now?
50 staples coming out and 40 stitches. Golly, Steven.
Yeah.
kind of surgery did you have? Did they give you a new set of arms?
At least your staples weren't in that long. When I had to have knee reconstruction, my staples were in for 9 months. So they said it wouldn't be, the skin grew over my staples. They said it wouldn't happen, and it did. And it was not good. So at least you have that. Cyborg. We can build him better. Wish I remember the exact wording to $6 Million Man, but which he would probably be the $6 billion man now. I don't know. I'm sure if I looked it up, there would be adjusted for inflation how much it would cost to build a $6 million man right now. Well, you suddenly have a fastball, though. I mean, suddenly it's there.
So, we're talking college football playoffs as our new rankings have dropped. And let's get the obvious out of the way because the obvious isn't fun to talk about. Lonzo, if all 4 undefeateds win coming up this weekend, the playoffs are set. Okay? It's that simple. If Georgia, Michigan, Washington, and Florida State all win this weekend, there's no chaos. There's no discussion next week. All 4 will go.
Right. Yeah. 4 undefeated teams. I mean, there's no fight.
Yep. All the 1 losses will be left out. And it doesn't matter where your 1 loss came from. If you have a loss, you are out if all 4 undefeateds win. So, here is the thought that I had yesterday, because I got into a very heated discussion with some buddies about Florida State, about whether or not the Noles, should they win the Atlantic Coast Conference, would be in. Now, let's start with the obvious. Of the undefeateds, Florida State, I think, out of Georgia, Michigan, Washington, and Florida State, FSU is the only one that if they lose, they ain't going to the college football playoffs, okay? If Georgia loses to Alabama, they'll need help, but they can go. If Michigan loses to Iowa, LOL, they'll need help, but they can go.
So, yeah, I don't know.
I do.
I mean,
they'll need help. They'll need a couple of other undefeateds to fall. Like if Georgia, Michigan, Washington, and Florida State all fall, Michigan's still got a very good chance. They'll be hurt by the Big Ten being bad, but they've got a good chance. Georgia's got the best chance. I think Washington has a real good chance if they lose to Oregon because of the fact that not only would they have an L, but their L would be, assuming they don't get their rear ends rocked, their L would be better than Georgia's L.
This is so 30 seconds ago, but you keep saying the Big Ten they'd be hurt by that, but Ohio State wasn't hurt by that last year.
Yeah, but last year you had a bunch of 1-loss teams. You didn't have 4 undefeateds going into the final weekend, right?
What I mean is you talk about the strength of the Big Ten always being top heavy last year. It wasn't any different.
Well, again, I think this comes back to the argument that if I took the Chiefs and dropped them in the MAC, they would be the best team in college football, even in a weak conference. You can still look at Ohio State and go, that's a damn good football team. They're playing nobody, but they're beating every nobody by 40.
I don't want people to think that I think Ohio State should be in the playoff. They lost to Michigan. They shouldn't be in there. I mean, if for some reason they get in there, I'm going to root for them.
Sure.
Same with last year. They shouldn't have been in there, but some people noticed when they got there.
So with all of that being said, I think we need to change the verbiage. We have said since the beginning of the college football playoff, the goal of the college football playoff is to get what? The best 4 teams. I don't think that's the way that we should look at it. We should look at it as the most deserving 4 teams. I think there is a distinction there. I would say right now, the best 4 teams, and when I say best, that's where I think you lean heavy on the eye test, right? You lean heavy on the eye test if you're trying to determine the best 4 teams. When you talk about resume, start of the season till now resume, that's not best. That's most deserving. When you talk about who's got the best wins and the best losses, that's not best team. That's most deserving. That's why I think we need to switch the verbiage to be the most deserving 4 teams. Because the best 4 teams, I would argue right now, are Georgia, Michigan, Oregon, and honestly, probably Alabama will be the best 4 teams. You could talk me into putting Ohio State ahead of Alabama, but you can't talk me out of putting Oregon above Washington. There's a reason they are touchdown and a half favorites against Washington, an undefeated Washington. But the playoffs are not to find the best 4 teams. They're to find the 4 most deserving teams, which does take into consideration who we believe the best teams to be. But it also has to take into consideration what your resume is. Because as I said yesterday on the show, and I stand by it, if you go eye test for the best 4 teams, I have got 9 reasons for the regular season. You make the regular season irrelevant. At that point, I am never scheduling, and I think a lot of teams are going to stop doing this in the future, but I'm never scheduling a decent out-of-conference opponent ever again. Why the hell would I? Right? If Alabama was to get in over Texas, despite a Texas victory heads up against each other, then if I'm Texas, why the hell would I ever schedule another non-conference battle like that? I won't. Because you've just told me that heads up play on the field in the regular season at the end of the season doesn't matter. This is why I've said, if Bama and Texas both end the season with 1 loss, Texas goes ahead of Bama because they beat them. Even if Bama looks like the better team today, they had their chance against Texas and they blew it. If you pick Alabama over Texas, you're telling me OOC games don't matter. Heads up wins don't matter. Let's get a call in here real quick before we go to break. Who we got here, Zoe? I don't have my call thing.
We have Dale.
Dale, welcome back to the show, big fella. Good to have you.
Good morning. How are you?
Great.
I'll make it quick. I know you guys are up against the clock. Michigan is number 2. In case Florida State loses and Washington wins, it's going to knock Oregon out. That's going to put Ohio State back in the 4, and you don't want to have a 1-4 matchup of Michigan and Ohio State because we just saw that last weekend.
Yeah, but we've had rematches a bunch, Dale.
I know, but when was the last time you really had that? You had that in Alabama, Georgia, in a championship game, what, 5, 6 years ago?
Yeah, a handful of years ago.
Okay. The committee, to me, has already chosen that the Big 12 is not going to get a representative in. No matter what the outcome is, there's no way Texas is going to get in, even if they win out and chaos ensues, because where they slotted Ohio State, where they have Oregon, and where Alabama's at. Because just like you said, you can't put Alabama ahead of Texas with the head-to-head. Because they'd have the same record and they'd have the same credentials. They both would have a conference championship.
I agree. Heads up matters, though.
You're not going to leave the SEC out.
Why? Why not?
because of the respect that they have been
I don't give it
over the last decade. No, I agree with you. I agree.
Okay.
The committee's not going to do that because of the money. The marketing, like you said.
I will say this, and I appreciate the call, Dale. You're right. We got to run up to a break. I appreciate you jumping in here, big dog. I want to keep talking about this. I heard Feinbaum say this yesterday. I'm not a Feinbaum fan, all right? I don't have anything against him. I'm just not a fan. He's not up my alley. I heard Feinbaum say yesterday, it'd be ludicrous for the SEC to get left out. And not a single person on the TV show that he was on went, why? Why? If they did not earn a spot, if there are teams that have just as respectable resumes with the same number, if not fewer losses, and there's 1 spot left, and Texas beat Alabama, because this is the only way it happens. Alabama beats Georgia. Some of the 1 losses or some of the no losses stay no losses. There's 1 spot left. Texas is Big 12 champ. Alabama's SEC champ. You cannot take Alabama over Texas. And he goes, you can't leave the SEC out. Why the hell not? Well, the respect. I don't give a damn about that. I don't care. I don't care about the respect. I don't care about the banner. If Alabama lost to Texas, there's one spot open, and the top two contenders are Alabama and Texas. Texas is going, end of story.
Well, most people believe, or at least it would seem most people believe, that there's no way the SEC doesn't have a representative.
Again, if there's one spot, if Alabama beats Georgia, Michigan beats Iowa, Washington beats Oregon, Florida State beats Louisville, there's one spot left, and your top two one-loss teams are Texas and Alabama. And by the way, Ohio State's right there too. But I think you gotta kick them to the back of the bus for not having a conference title, right?
But at the same time, positioning as far as rankings goes comes into play. Like Dale pointed out, being at 6 is not a bad spot.
Here's the problem. Ohio State can't win this weekend. They can't lose, but they can't win. Texas and Bama can. If Texas and Bama both win, they are jumping Ohio State. That's a statement of fact, not a prediction. That's a fact. So if it comes down to Georgia loses to Bama, but Michigan, Washington, and Florida State wins, you have one spot left. You have two teams, Texas and Bama. They played each other. The winner's got to go. Sorry, SEC. It sucks, but it is what it is. We got to go to a break. Lonzo is about to absolutely rock your socks with a sports flash.
Speaking of which, let's talk about what everyone's talking about. The NBA's in-season tournament has its knockout stage filled set. The Indiana Pacers have earned a host spot and will welcome Boston to town on Monday, and the Pelicans travel to Sacramento to play the Kings on Tuesday. The Knicks will visit the Milwaukee Bucks, while the Lakers host the Suns. Despite controversy, Dave Tepper doubled down yesterday, stating that while the Panthers originally believed they would end up with C.J. Stroud, they got the player they wanted in Bryce Young. Tepper said in a press conference, in the case of Bryce, I believe it was a unanimous decision from the coaches and the scouts. And of course, everyone absolutely believes him. We are your home for Furman football. Tune in Saturday as the Paladins playoff run begins. Yep, the playoffs this weekend. Furman takes on Chattanooga at 11:30 right here on the Fan Upstate. Is your Christmas tree in a position where you could rock around it?
No, it's in a corner.
Yeah,
You could rock back and forth.
Yeah, me either. So I guess I've never rocked around a Christmas tree because it's always like in front of a window.
I believe it would be, for me in my house, it would be rocking near the Christmas tree because it is in the corner.
Smith and James in the first break.
Smith and James in the first break. We went fake tree this year, Steven. Ordinarily, we're a real tree house, but we went fake this year because we will not be here for Christmas this year. We'll be down in Florida. So we went fake tree this time around. Next year, we'll go back to real tree. Yeah. Yeah. Hour number 2 of the Rob Brown Show gets its start right now, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. This is the Fan Upstate. How do you do, Upstate South Carolina? Hello, America. What is up, world? It is great to be with you. I am Rob Brown. Over there, the great one, Lonzo. He is a superstar. You thought about it. You thought about it for a second. He did. He did. It's good to have you, folks. Thank you very much for hanging out with us each and every morning from 6 until 10 a.m. Hey, we do want to remind you of a couple of things. Number one, if you miss a segment of the show, go to thefanupstate.com, thefanupstate.com. Go to the podcast section, drop it down, click on the Rob Brown Show. Every hour of the show and highlight segments from it are sent to that page every day. You can also follow us across your podcasting medium of choice. So whether you're on Spotify or iTunes or Google Play or whatever else, Podbean, I don't know if that's a thing still. It was for a while. Wherever you get your pods, go follow the Rob Brown Show, and they will be delivered to you gloriously every day.
Podbean?
Yeah, that was a thing for a while. It was the podcasting provider of choice for about a year. Yeah.
What year was this?
Like 2 years ago. It was recent.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you say so.
Wherever you get your podcast, make sure you like and subscribe to the Rob Brown Show and download our pods, man. We give you the full hours in case you miss one. We give you the highlight segments every day. Also want you to know that at the conclusion of every show, you can text Fan Brown to 71307. Fan Brown to 71307. And the entire show will be sent right to your phone. You don't even have to go anywhere. We'll just text it to you, Fan Brown, at the conclusion of every show to 71307, and the whole show will be sent right to you. Kirk Ferentz was asked about playing in the Big Ten Championship, and he said, if we win, it'll screw up things for the entire CFB playoff. That might be kind of funny. Kirk, I've never agreed with anyone else more in my life. Yes, it would be. You know what would be, that's a terrible segue. Everything's funny on this show. You know what's going to be amazing? Your water cooler cheat sheet.
Are you ready for the playbook of the peculiar, the almanac of the absurd, and the encyclopedia of the extraordinary? Well, you better be, because we're diving headfirst into the 3 top stories that will have your coworkers saying,
"You hear that?" No.
Here we go. Welcome to the water cooler cheat sheet on the Fan Upstate.
All right, the 3 things you need to know before you go start.
If you're about to go tot it, you're going to go tot it. Tot it. Right.
Dreaming of a white Christmas. The 3 things you need to know before you get to work and start talking sports with your coworkers. Let's start with item number 1. We have talked about this at length already this AM. I suspect we will circle back around to it sooner rather than later, but your college football playoff top 25 were dropped last night, ladies and gentlemen. The Clemson Tigers have rejoined the ranks of the playoff football teams in America. At number 23 at 8-4, they are one spot ahead of undefeated Liberty. They are one spot behind 11-1 Tulane. Roll wave. 21 is Tennessee. Oregon State is 20. NC State 19. You got to jump all the way up to 17 to find Notre Dame. Whoa! Playing for the ACC title this weekend at 14. LSU 13. Oklahoma behind Brent Venables at 10-2 is number 12. Ole Miss 11. Penn State 10. Missouri 9. Alabama 8. Texas 7. The Ohio State University ranked number 6 at 11-1. Oregon is the top-ranked one-loss team at number 5. Inside the top 4, well, your 4 undefeateds. FSU, Washington, Michigan, and Georgia go 4-3-2-1 respectively. I'm going to make this real simple for you, ladies and gentlemen. If the 4 undefeated teams win this weekend, the 4 undefeated teams will be your 4 playoff teams. You are not taking an undefeated conference champion out of the playoff 4 to replace them with a one-loss non-conference champion. It is not happening in any world. That's not going to take place. Okay? So, if Florida State, Washington, Michigan, and Georgia win their conferences this weekend, then next Tuesday, the debate will be non-existent. Those will be your playoff 4. Where it gets interesting is if really any number, 1, 2, 3, or all 4 of those were to take an L. I think the most chaotic reality is if only Florida State wins. That's the most chaotic, right? Because if Florida State loses, they're out of the picture. There's no question. If FSU beats Louisville, but Georgia falls to Bama, Michigan falls to Iowa, and Washington falls to Oregon, now you've got a undefeated Florida State that I think will have an argument for the 1 seed as the only undefeated team in America, but you will have a 1-loss Georgia, a 1-loss Michigan, a 1-loss Washington, a 1-loss Oregon, a 1-loss Ohio State, a 1-loss Texas, and a 1-loss Alabama, and you will have 3 spots to select from, and all of them will have arguments to have one of those 3 spots. I still think you're going to end up with conference champs, but can you leave a Georgia out after 3 years of no L's? Yes, but can you do it? We're going to talk about that more at length as the show progresses. But this is the water cooler cheat sheet, which means we got to get to item number 2. Ladies and gentlemen, the moment I have all been waiting for, your NBA in-season tournament quarterfinals are here. They are set. They are ready. We know our host, the Pacers, are hosting, and the Kings are hosting out of the West. In the East, the Milwaukee Bucks are hosting, and the LA Lakers are hosting. Their opponents, the Pacers, will welcome the Celtics into town on Monday at 10 o'clock that same evening. The New Orleans Pelicans, Big Z, and the boys will head out to Sacramento to take on the Kings on Tuesday. We have got the New York Knicks. They are on the road at Giannis and Dame and co. The Suns will visit the Lakers in the Western Conference quarterfinal late Tuesday night at 10 p.m. The winners of each of those quarterfinal games will advance to the semifinals that take place on December 7th in Las Vegas, with the Eastern Conference teams at 5 p.m., followed by the Western Conference semis at 9 o'clock. The tournament's championship game, with the winner getting to lift the inaugural NBA Cup for the first time and earning $500,000 for every player on the roster, will take place at 8:30 on December 9th. Here's the fun part. In each of the 4 quarterfinal games, there is a matchup that is on the schedule 4 times this season, meaning all of those matchups will now be played 5 times, one more than teams typically play each other in a typical regular season. The 22 teams that did not advance to the quarterfinals will now each have 1 home and 1 road game on December 6th and 8th added to their schedule, while the teams that lose in the quarterfinals will play each other in December 8th to make up for the lost game. We do have some of the other matchups that are there. Who cares? Let's get to it. The NBA Cup quarterfinals coming up in just over a week. Could not be more gassed. I don't care what you say. I'm enjoying it. All right? I like it.
Nope.
It's fun to me.
Nope.
No, Darby.
Nope.
You can it.
Nope.
It's fun.
Nope.
I love it.
Nope.
I'm having a good time.
Nope.
The NBA tournament is say whatever you want, hater. Because the haters gonna hate. Item number 3. David Tepper had a press conference yesterday, and Lonzo and I were listening to a lot of the audio from it before the show started today. We were pulling some audio because we're going to be playing it for you coming up in the next segment. Or nope, next hour. Because in the next segment, we've got Overreaction or Makes Sense, and I'm very much looking forward to that. In the next hour, we are going to go hot and heavy into David Tepper's press conference from yesterday. At the conclusion of us listening to that audio, as I was getting up to go walk back to the Fortress of Nerditude to gather the necessary supplies with which to start the endeavor we call the Rob Brown radio program, Lonzo, as I left the room, said to me he'd make a crappy politician. He didn't say crappy.
No, not me. Tepper
Yes.
would not make a very good politician.
Right. Lonzo said he would not make a very good politician.
By the way, I would. All right, so maybe I would make a good politician.
I don't think you would. You're too honest. You couldn't do it. You couldn't stand up there in front of the mic knowing that what you were saying was not accurate.
Here's the key. The key is to smile and laugh while you're telling the truth and make everyone think that you're joking.
See, that would be a fun thing.
Yeah.
And for the record, Dave Tepper tried his best to do that. He's just incapable of it.
It just didn't work. Yeah, it's just like a tough room.
They asked a question, and we're gonna play a bunch of the audio from the presser yesterday for you coming up in the next hour. But they asked the question of Tep. They're like, "Hey, yo, how do you feel about the belief that it's going to be real hard for you to get a quality coach in here moving forward, considering now this is the third coach in a row that you have fired in season?" And Tep's response was, "Well, I'd like to get a coach in here for 20 years. I'd like to get a coach in here that, would be giving the eulogy at my funeral in 30 years. Hopefully 40. Yuck.
Why do you sound like John Candy at Wally World?
Because that's what David Tepper sounded like. You'll all hear it. Next hour, you'll hear it. We'll play it. We're going to do a little hold up. All right? It was, and I mean this, very awkward. It was very awkward, right? And I will say this. There were some real good spots. In fact, you know what? Just to give you a little teaser, and then we're going to go to break and play Overreaction or Make Sense when we come back. Here's what I want to play. Will you give me the Joe Person question? Joe Person covers his team, right? Joe Person, the press conference, and this was the awkward part. When they started the presser, the PR agent in charge of the presser said to the assembled media in the room, said, "Yo, don't yell out your questions." That's how press conferences usually work, right? Like people start yelling out questions, and whatever media member gives the least amount of bleeps just keeps talking until everybody else shuts up, and then they ask their question, right? The PIO in charge was like, "Do not yell out your questions. I will call on people." First off, he ignored Scott Fowler, who's been covering this team since 1995.
The real reason why they did it, so they could single people out to not answer the question.
Ignored a guy who's been covering this team since 1995. Almost 30 years. Scott Fowler couldn't get a question in. Joe Person did. I'm not going to play you the answer yet. You got to come back in the 8 o'clock hour. We will open the 8 o'clock hour with this. But here was the type of question that Tep was getting.
Dave, you guys are 30-63 since you became owner. I think it's the second worst mark in the NFL, one of the worst marks in pro sports. You're about to hire your fourth head coach. Do you need to reevaluate the way you do things in terms of, maybe using a search firm in this hiring process, but also in how you manage day-to-day operations here.
I mean, that for the record, he got a handful of those, and I freaking loved it. So Tep did say, and I will give you this tasty little morsel before we take a break. Tep was asked about the drafting of Bryce Young. And Tep said, in a controversial moment that to me was not controversial at all. And this is one of the clips. The answer to this question is going to be one of the two clips we play Hole Up later on with. Tep said, look, here was the deal. We thought that we were going to go to number 2, that Houston was going to draft Bryce Young. We were going to get CJ Stroud. And everybody immediately was like, oh, Tep said they were going to draft it. No, he never said that. What he said was the expectation going into the draft was that Houston was going to be at 2 or was going to be at number 1. They were going to take Bryce Young. We were going to go to 2. We were going to get CJ Stroud. But what ended up happening is Houston did not want to move. So the only option we had was stay where we were and get nobody, or jump to number 1 and get our pick of the litter. And we picked Bryce. And it got turned into this big bleep show on Twitter yesterday that it did not need to be. So we'll talk about that coming up at 8 o'clock. So there's your water cooler cheat sheet. Item 1, the playoff rankings have dropped. Item 2, the NBA in-season tournament quarterfinals are set. And item 3, we're going to spend some time probably making a few jokes at David Tepper's expense in the next hour of the show. What we are going to do when we come back here in just a minute is play a little game we like to call Overreaction or Makes Sense. Lonzo and I have collected from across the vast expanse of the social media universe some of the more hot takes from the sports world, and I will tell you whether they are complete and total overreactions or if they make perfect sense. And we will do that when we come back on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate.
Smith and Jake.
All right, guys, another live read right here, and we will be right back. Don't go nowhere. but 100% I want to do goat yoga. That's not true. I just want to go hang out with goats. If working out is the requirement, so be it.
Well, I can tell you a couple farms in my area where you could go hang around with goats.
Right across the street from Courtney's dad's house is a cow pasture. And the cows right now, because it's cold, have these big woolly coats. So we brought the dog up there this Saturday when we went to do Thanksgiving, and the dog had her first interaction with a cow and had no damn idea what to do with her life. It was very funny.
Steven, I don't know where you're going, but you just stay off the roof, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any roof of any kind.
Yeah.
Jumba.
What a name to pick.
Probably an acronym. I don't know. Maybe.
Gatlinburg has a business called Goats on a Roof. Well, obviously, I'm Googling that instead of paying attention to my job. It is just after 7:20 in the morning. It's actually 7:25 if you need an actual time check. I don't know who does. We all have phones. But either way, it is time for us to play a little game we play every Wednesday at this time, a little game we like to call Overreact or Make Sense.
I think you're overreacting.
Let's all calm down.
This is a huge deal.
I think you're overreacting a little bit.
I am not overreacting! Remain calm, everyone.
This is a big deal.
That's no reaction.
Everybody calm down! Look how calm I am!
That was an overreaction.
Look, let's all just calm down.
This is not a big deal.
Overreaction for her getting upset that I spent $45 ordering a Rob Brown Funko Pop yesterday. I think it makes perfect sense.
Oh, so you went with the 40? You ordered it?
Oh,
Okay,
yeah,
cool. Yeah.
I couldn't not do it.
I was encouraged to do it, and I still haven't done it yet. My wife was like, "Go ahead, do it." I was like, "Yeah, I can't. It's hard for me to spend money."
$45 to have a Rob Brown personalized Funko Pop. That's well worth it.
You should try it, by the way. It looks pretty cool, and you can get it fairly close to what you look like.
Yep.
I mean, close enough. It's all about.
Pretty dope. I actually really like it.
It's really about the label on the box more than anything.
It's also true.
All right, time for overreaction or make sense. The word goat doesn't mean the same thing anymore.
I do think I am going to go ahead and say that one actually makes perfect sense. I've seen people throw the GOAT term around a lot, right? Like, oh, Mahomes is the GOAT. Well, Mahomes is the GOAT. Brady's the GOAT. Montana's the GOAT. Like, guys, the greatest of all time can only be one. There can only be one greatest of all time. Now, you can throw the Lonzo caveat of greatest of all time so far on there, and I'm totally fine with that. But at any given moment, there is a greatest of all time, but there can only be one. If there are two people, then they are not the greatest of all time. They are both the really towards the toppest of all time. We got to stop using GOAT for everything that happens. Now, like most words in the English language, eventually it can kind of get to the point where like there becomes two meanings of the word. There's the actual meaning of the word, and then there's like the pop lingo version of the word. Like, that's bad, dude. Like, bad for the very longest of time actually meant good, but if you use it correctly, it means bad, but it can also mean good. I think we've kind of hit that point with GOAT, but I agree with the great one on this. Maybe it's my boomerism showing we got to stop throwing GOAT at things that we just really like.
All right, next one. There will not that means not be a conference with two teams in the college football playoff.
Yeah, no, there's definitely not going to be. There's definitely not going to be. The only way that happens, there are two conferences that have a reasonable chance. Those two conferences are the Pac-12 and the Southeastern Conference. It would take, however, Bama beating Georgia, Michigan losing to Iowa, Washington losing to Oregon, Florida State losing to Louisville, and then Texas losing to Oklahoma State as well. If all of those go that way, then there is a chance that you end up with a 12-1 Georgia team and a 12-1 Alabama team. There is a chance you end up with a 12-1 Washington and a 12-1 Oregon both in. I think the most realistic possibility is the SEC teams going just based on where they are ranked. But there is one variable in there, and that is Ohio State at 11-1. But I do think a 12-1 conference championship participant will get it this year, not every year, but this year will get in above an 11-1 non-division winner.
All right, overreaction or makes sense. Dak Prescott is the front runner for NFL MVP.
I'm going to go that's a hot take. I'm going to go you need to calm down. Oh, wait, no, that's the wrong clip. There it is. I forgot how my own game works.
Yeah, you just wanted to play that clip again.
I think Dak Prescott is a front runner for the MVP, but I think there are three right now. I think he is a front runner because he's a quarterback, and let's be real, it's basically a quarterback award now, and I think right now he is the quarterback out front of this. But if you don't have Christian McCaffrey and Tyreek Hill on that list right now, you're wrong. Right? Both of those guys are incredibly valuable to their team. And I think both of them have done more than enough to be a front runner. So I am happy. I will say you can absolutely label Dak Prescott a front runner for the MVP, but I do not think you can say he is the front runner for the MVP.
All right, overreaction or makes sense. If South Carolina doesn't make a bowl next year, the Beamer era, the daggum Beamer era is over.
Yeah, I think it is. Year 4, universally year 3 is the first year where it's like, we're judging you now, right? Like we are now judging your job performance. We give you a couple of years to cycle out the old guys, to cycle in the new guys. There are still guys left over from the last regime on this roster. Not a bunch, but a few. Next year is the year where it is, by and large, all his dudes. You've also had 2 years to work the portal. You have had years to get the right guys in place. I will tell you right now, I don't think Shane Beamer has the best possible coaching staff in place right now. I think that's something he is going to have to really drill down on during the offseason. I am going to say year 3 is the year that we start to judge you. Year 4 is the year that you were judged. That is not to say he's got to go 10-2 or 11-1. I am saying bowl eligibility should be the minimum expectation at South Carolina. And we're going to give him credit. There were a lot of injuries this year. There were a lot of stuff going on that kind of had to be dealt with that made it very difficult for Shane to succeed. But at the end of the day, that is part of figuring it out. If that is a routine every year, that becomes part of your legacy. That becomes part of what is your coaching legacy. He's got to get that figured out. If they miss bowl eligibility next year, yeah, it'll be time to move on. I like Shane. I want him to succeed. I want that team. I want that program, that school to succeed. But if you can't make a bowl in year 4, you're gone.
All right, this next one I've been looking forward to because I have no idea where you're truly going to fall on this one. It's very important. Overreaction or makes sense. Connor's mom has got it going on.
All right, listen. If you missed the story that we opened the show with, a Chicago Blackhawks player got released. Corey Reeves got released from his contract last night very unexpectedly and very suddenly. That's a Hart Memorial Trophy winner. This is not like a nobody. This is a somebody. This is a real good player. And Chicago just let him go. No trade, they just said, nope, you don't play here anymore, which was very odd. And then the rumors started circulating around the social media. The reason why was because also on that team is Connor Bedard. He is a prodigy. He's the next. Well, the rumor going around is that during a Chicago Blackhawks team building exhibition not too long ago, Corey did the old brown chicken, brown cow with Connor's mom. Now, I went because I am this kind of guy for show research purposes only, of course. I went and Googled Connor Bedard's mom and took a look because I'm like, you know what? We've all made some bad decision. We in the world of the ladies, most of us, a majority of us, have made some questionable decisions due to the ladies. I uprooted my whole life and went to Jacksonville for one. We've all done it. It's a bad decision. But sometimes you get a chance to outkick your coverage. Sometimes you get a chance with a young lady who is out of your league and gives you a shot anyway. And you got to take it. Consequences be damned. Connor Bedard's mom is a very pretty lady. She is not blow up my contract playing next to the next prodigy of the NHL on a team that is a Stanley Cup favorite to go home with. Dude, you're a professional hockey player in Chicago. Go to any given bar and you can pull tens of tens, if you know what I'm saying. Don't brown chicken, brown cow with your teammate's mom. Connor's mom's a pretty lady, but she ain't Connor's mom has got it going on hot, if you get my drift.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Overreaction or makes sense. Oregon is the one-loss team with the best chance to get into the playoffs.
100%. And it's not just because of where they are in the rankings, sitting there at number 5, the first team out, right? Not at all. The reason why is they are without question, the best one-loss team, period. End of sentence. I could stop right there, and that's enough. But it's also they've got the best conference championship matchup. Oregon's coming into this game against Washington. The last I looked, and I'll go ahead and pull it up again just to satisfy my own curiosity as well as to entertain the masses. But the Oregon Ducks come into this Pac-12 championship game. The last I looked, they were like 9.5-point favorites, dudes. 9.5-point favorites. They are not just kind of favorites. Yeah, it's still at 9.5. The Ducks are 9.5-point favorites in their conference championship game. I'm going to make this real easy. As long as one of the undefeateds, Georgia, Michigan, Washington, Florida State, as long as one of them fall, and for Oregon to win, that has to happen. If Oregon beats, all right, here, I'll make it real simple. If Oregon beats Washington, they're in the 4. Hands down, end of discussion. If Washington, I don't care if it's by a point in 9 overtimes. Well, 2 points in 9 overtimes. If Oregon beats Washington, they are going to the playoffs, and they will go at the expense of one-loss Georgia. They will go at the expense of 11-1 Ohio State. They will go at the expense of anybody else who has a loss and does not win their conference. So, yes, without a doubt, Oregon is the best one-loss team and the first one-loss team to go in should they win this weekend.
All right, time for one more. Overreaction or makes sense. You can declare yourself the queen of Christmas.
Let's be very clear here. You can, in terms of, I can just say that. Watch, I'll do it right now. Rob Brown is the queen of Christmas. All right, you can do it. It's very easy. They're just words. What you cannot do is declare yourself the queen of Christmas and then be. You just have, it's like a nickname, right? You can give yourself a nickname. You can just go, I am Lonzo. I am the Savage Wild One. All right, cool. I'm never going to call you that, right? Nicknames are organic. Something happens in your life and your boy goes, haha, we're going to call you whatever. And you don't have to like it. It doesn't matter. The boys are going to call you whatever that nickname is. One time in middle school, this is true, and I'm not going to tell you what the nickname was, mainly because you're all clowns and it's all you'll ever call me again. But my 6th grade year at Meg's Middle School, in a basketball game, I was good enough to make the varsity team at my middle school as a 6th grader. And during a game against Bruner Middle School, the Spartans, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, no one likes them.
Running down the floor, hit a sweat puddle, and I ate it. And not like ate it like fell over. I ate it like did one of those things where you're stumbling for like 12 to 14 minutes before your center of gravity finally wins and you just go down. I stumbled, Lonzo, from 2 feet on this side of half court. I stumbled the length of half of a basketball court and fell out of bounds at the far end. It was bad. I just ate it, and I just kept going forward. I couldn't regain my balance. And when I ate it, And I walked back to the huddle. My head coach, John Gaskin, as I walked back to the huddle, went, boy, you looked, and he called me a name. And then for the next 2 years of my life, actually 3, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, that name was my nickname. And everybody in the school called me that. I hated it, but it didn't matter. It's the same thing. Mariah Carey is the queen of Christmas, not because she said it, but because America said it. We as Americans, as freedom-loving Americans, collectively, consensus decided that Mariah Carey is the queen of Christmas. And so any other country music nobodies can go, no, I'm the queen of country. No, you're not, man. Backseat. You can call yourself the Duchess of Christmas. You can call yourself the whatever of Christmas, the princess of Christmas.
Who was the queen of Christmas before Mariah Carey?
That's a real good question. It's a real good question. I don't know.
And why did they abdicate?
That's more in your time frame because Mariah Carey has been the queen of Christmas since like 95.
Is it like the Tanya Tucker? I mean, I don't know.
Who sang Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree?
That's who I think sang Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree.
No, it was not. It was
Brenda
Lee.
Brenda Lee. Okay.
Yeah!
All right. Okay.
I did it. Brenda Lee was the queen of Christmas until Mariah Carey supplanted her on the throne.
I don't know. Maybe Eartha Kitt was the queen of Christmas.
I'm fine with that too. But today,
whoever sang Santa Baby.
That's a real good pick. That's a real good pick. But all that aside, today, your queen of Christmas is Mariah Carey. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show with the Fan Upstate. Courtney is suggesting Brenda Lee and Barbara Streisand for her version of Jingle Bells. I feel like this is going to be our next relationship fight because Barbara Streisand ain't the queen of nothing. Fight me.
Big noses. Well, Crystal Gale. I don't know.
Real tree, but go cup. So I saw this the other day. Apparently somewhere, I don't know where it is, but apparently the National Forestry Service is selling, I think, $50 permits where you can go into national forests where they're overpopulated with trees and cut down a Christmas tree from a national park because there's too many trees. They got to thin them out a little bit. And I would absolutely do that if I was anywhere close.
It looks like, unless I'm looking at it wrong, the highest charting Christmas song by a female is actually Brenda Lee,
I'm not shocked by that.
which makes Brenda Lee the queen of Christmas.
She's had a 90-year head start. The song came out in the 50s.
Steven, Rob doesn't know who that is.
That is correct. I don't. Darlene Love.
Christian artist.
Ah, that's why.
Rocking around the Christmas tree, Nolan, if
List
you've
of
heard that.
best-selling Christmas singles in the United States. All time. Number 1, All I Want for Christmas Is You by Mariah Carey. Number 2, Do You Want to Build a Snowman from the Frozen soundtrack, which has sold. It's number 2.
All right, so I would make her more the queen of Christmas than Mariah Carey. Idina Menzel, is it her version?
It's Kristen Bell.
This is Christian Bell's version. Oh, definitely more Queen of Christmas than Mariah Carey. I love Mariah Carey.
The haterade is
no,
strong.
I've always liked Mariah Carey. I think she's pretty. She can sing. She can hit notes. I mean, but she's not the Queen of Christmas.
The show that routinely debates Mariah Carey's Christmas Queen credentials. The Rob Brown radio program.
It's because you're so adamant that she is something that she is not.
It is the best-selling holiday single of all time for a reason.
What holiday?
The holidays.
Which holiday?
The holidays. I mean, she says Christmas in the title.
Oh, okay. So
but the war on Christmas is on.
Yeah. Wow.
All right. All I Want for Christmas Is You, the number 1 all-time selling Christmas single ever, released in '94 on the Columbia label, has sold 3,200,000.
What's your source? What's your source?
Nielsen.
Okay. All right.
A real one.
No, that's a reputable source.
A real one.
I didn't know if it was like Bob's
single store.
Yeah, I mean,
Number 2 right now is Do You Want to Build a Snowman from the Frozen soundtrack, sung by Kristen Bell, Agatha Lee Mon, and Katie Lopez.
Is that really a Christmas song though?
No.
It's just it's about snow.
No.
Yeah.
But this is what happens when y'all make your kids your whole world. You elevate a not Christmas song into the top Christmas singles. That is, if you want to give it any credit, a winter song.
It is a winter song.
And even still, it's a wildly sad song.
All right, so if there was a holiday song,
It's All I Want for Christmas Is You.
I wouldn't even fit in there because what holiday? Because you can build a snowman at any
That's
time.
why I said it's a winter song.
It was snowing yesterday in a bunch of different states, and they probably built a snowman yesterday.
Rest of the list. Number 3, Christmas Eve, Sarajevo 1224, credited to Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
That's a killer tune, by the way.
Number 4 is Mistletoe by Justin Bieber. Number 5.
All right, so how accurate is this? If
this is just all-time selling Christmas
Bieber's
singles.
on there, I mean,
Number 5, Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree from Brenda Lee. Number 6, Where Are You Christmas from Faith Hill. Number 7, Christmas Canon by the only artist with 2 on this list, Trans-Siberian Orchestra. Number 8, Feliz Navidad by Jose Feliciano.
Feliciano.
I said it Italian because I got Tommy DeVito on the brain.
Yeah, there you go.
I should talk about why. I will momentarily.
I'm not sure Jose is.
I don't think
is
Jose's Italian.
I just don't. I could be wrong.
Number 9, Jingle Bell Rock by Bobby Helms, and number 10, Last Christmas by Wham. If you go by digital downloads alone, the list is very similar with Mariah Carey up top at All I Want for Christmas Is You, the most digitally downloaded single of all time. Number 2 is Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree by Brenda Lee. Then Do You Want to Build a Snowman? Mistletoe. Number 5 is 1963's Christmas Baby Please Come Home by Darlene Love. Number 6 is Sleigh Ride by the Ronettes. Last Christmas by Wham, then Like It's Christmas by the Jonas Brothers, Cozy Little Christmas from Katy Perry, and number 10, What Christmas Means to Me by John Legend featuring Stevie Wonder.
What has happened to this generation where all the classics are just, well, they didn't sell those this way.
Number 11,
a lot of those were on movies.
These are the digital downloads.
Yeah.
Number 11, A Ghetto Christmas Carol by XXX Tentacion. I'm going to be real. I know who that is. Don't know any of his music because I've been told over and over he's not cool, man.
I'm pretty sure you said his name wrong, but yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never heard that guy, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I've never heard that guy's name said out loud. I don't know how to say that name correctly. XXX, XXX, X cubed. I don't know how to say that name. I'm a bad hipster. All right. Snowman by Sia is just after that. The top 3 Christmas downloaded ringtones of all time. Number 1, All I Want for Christmas Is You. Now, where Lonzo's going to win.
By the way, you're not proving it. There's going to come a time, because it always does. And
number 2 is Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer.
Yeah, pop culture turns on things eventually. I'm waiting for them to turn on the Queen of Christmas. They've turned on. You hear that? Oh, she's fat. It's like, what are you talking about? You guys are just stupid. Does she need to be 95 pounds? I mean, anyway. But they'll turn on that eventually. Hopefully, I'm around to see it.
In terms of physical singles. Here's where Lonzo is gonna make up some ground here, right? In terms of physical
Back
singles,
in my day, you bought media physically.
This is people who buy records, CDs, records. People who have bought records. A-tracks, cassette tapes. That's still a thing. People who have bought records. Number 1 most purchased Christmas or holiday single, physical copy, is 1964's Blue Christmas by Elvis Presley.
Now we're talking.
Number 2, this one's for the children, off the album Funky Funky Xmas by the New Kids on the Block.
Oh, I'm sure you have that one, don't you?
I actually think I did at one point.
Of course. I mean,
Number 3, the worst Christmas song ever sold as good. It is the worst Christmas recording of all time, hands down, no question, no debate. The worst Christmas release of all time, 1985's Santa Claus is Coming to Town by Bruce Springsteen.
Oh,
now,
come on. You hate the big man.
No. Let me be very clear.
Clarence Clemens is awesome, dude.
Let me be very clear here. I love some Bruce Springsteen. The East Street Band, always at the top of a Rob Brown rotation. You go to my Spotify favorited list, which is where just every time you hear a song, if you like it, you click the little heart and it puts it on your big playlist. Bruce Springsteen's on that list probably 30 times. I love some East Street, okay? But that recording is garbage, Bruce. It's terrible. Santa Claus is coming. He's exhausted by the end of repeating Santa Claus is coming to town 99 times.
He was not expecting Clarence Clemens to come out dressed up as Santa Claus, and it cracked him up while he was doing the song. And they started recording it because, when the big man comes out with the saxophone. Really?
Santa Claus is coming to town.
Between you and Chris Evans, who hates simply having a wonderful Christmas time. You guys,
I gotta tell you, that's way up on the bad list too.
You guys hate. I'll just turn the channel. You guys want to burn it.
To tell you how much I love Christmas music, once I get into the spirit, thank you, Jason Kelsey. Once I'm into the spirit, I like the Chipmunk Christmas song. That's how much I love Christmas music.
What's wrong with that? I mean, that's a classic.
It's worldly hated. Because it is, I can see.
I don't know anyone who hates the Chipmunk song.
I'm looking all the way down the list. I like all of them. Okay. I like all of them, including 1955's Art Mooney and his orchestra, Nuttin' for Christmas. Okay. I like them all.
So they didn't get anything for Christmas.
Right.
Okay. All right.
Unless never mind. I probably shouldn't say that joke.
Yeah.
About Connor's mom.
Yeah, because I left that where we could just move on, and then you had to go.
I know. I needed people to know where my brain lives. All right. Bruce Springsteen, Santa Claus is Coming to Town should be destroyed. Every physical copy, every digital copy should be destroyed, and we should all pretend like it never happened. We as a country would be better for it if we just pretended that song never, or at least that performance of that song never happened.
I now have a new nickname for you around this time of the year. Ebenezer.
Call me whatever you want. If the only thing you can have against me is that Bruce Springsteen's terrible Christmas song should not exist, you can call me whatever you want. That song is hot garbage. That performance of that song is hot garbage.
Is There Ain't No Hole in the Wash Tub on the list anywhere?
I don't know what that is.
Okay, that's all right.
Let's see. Alvin's song is on there. Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer by Elmo and Patsy. Do They Know It's Christmas from Band Aid?
Yeah.
Is way up on that list. It's actually number 4.
That's an awesome song,
Yeah.
by the way.
Jingle Bell Rock by Bobby Helms is in the top 10. Jimmy Boyd's I Saw Mama Kissing Santa Claus is at 12. The original Gina Autry, Frosty the Snowman, is up on top of that list. Who is Yogi Jorgensen?
I don't know. What song did Yogi do?
This is the title, no typo, off the album Jingle Bells.
Ah.
I Just Go Nuts at Christmas.
Yeah, I've never heard of Yogi.
You know, it's cool to have a shtick. It's cool to have a gimmick. I've got one. We all have one. It's cool to have a gimmick. But if your whole gimmick is my name starts with Y, so therefore I'm going to start other words with Y, that's a bad gimmick. That's the Blue Meanie of songs, is what that is. It's just a bad gimmick. All right. Anyway. How is Bing Crosby's Silent Night at the bottom of this list? That's unacceptable. White Christmas from Bing Crosby is third from the bottom. White Christmas from Bing Crosby needs to be very much at the top.
I think a lot of it has to do with age. It has to.
Texter says, and I quote, "Bro, it's literally not even December. Sports! Tell me why my Gamecocks suck at football." End quote from Texter.
Thank you, Ray. It's good to know. It's almost Christmas, and you start thinking of people you haven't heard from in a while, and you hope they're doing well. And now we know that Ray's still there.
Texter said that first list is why I'm losing faith in humanity. That's from Bobby. Appreciate that text, Bobby. Texter said, Lil Saint Nick from the Beach Boys, Mele Kaliki Maka from Ben Crosby, and The Grinch. Mic drop. Those are all on my list for sure. For sure. Without a doubt. What else we got? Texter said, Rob, speaking of Christmas, I'm still avoiding all Christmas music because it gripes my nerves, but my children and I made peanut butter balls because I prefer to call them Buckeyes last night, so I guess I'm officially in the spirit. That's from Spartanburg J.
They are Buckeyes, by the way. And for these songs and more, please tune in to the Upstate Pulse annual Christmas karaoke special, which is coming up on the 22nd.
Yeah, I'm real bad. I'm real salty. I'm not going to be here.
Yeah. Especially after last year where you played the trombone
new standard
and the harmonica and the best version of 12 Days of Christmas ever done. We even beat the Muppets. We did.
Standard.
We did.
Texas said it could be worse. My coworkers called me corn chip just because they saw me eating a bag of Fritos one day. That's how nicknames work.
Corn chip. What up, corn chip?
It sucks, dude. That's how nicknames work, but there's nothing you can do.
As far as nicknames go, corn chip, that's not that bad.
Texas said, is Connor Bedard's mom married? Here's the deal. If you are going to sleep with one of your
according to
moms,
the pictures, it shows his dad, but they could be old pictures.
Here's the thing. If you are going to sleep with one of your friend's moms, that thought never crosses your mind. I had an ex-brother. He's the only one of my fraternity brothers who got kicked out of our frat. During a parents' weekend, I had one of my fraternity brothers sleep with one of my other fraternity brothers' moms who was there, single mom, but sleep with their moms when they were in town. The one brother got kicked out. The other one never showed his face on campus. He left school the next day. This is a rough spot for Connor, for sure. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back next hour. We got that David Tepper press conference. Yes, it is as funny as we've made it. What's not funny, what's very serious is this sports flash.
Yeah, because I don't
very serious.
I don't do funny. The penultimate college football playoff rankings have dropped. Rob put that in there because he didn't think I could say the word. The list of contenders are Alabama at number 8, right behind number 7, Texas. Ohio State drops to number 6 after the loss to Michigan. And Oregon sits just outside, looking at number 5. Undefeated FSU rejoins the playoff 4, just behind Washington. Michigan at number 2. And number 1, Georgia. Arkansas has a ghost of Christmas past in their offices as former head coach Bobby Petrino is now current offensive coordinator. Petrino, who was fired by the Razorbacks for a scandal in 2012, spent last season at Texas A&M, but was not retained by Mike Elko. No, I wasn't trying to laugh. I was trying not to cough. Tune in tomorrow night at 7:30 for Thursday Night Football as the Cowboys take on the Seahawks right here Oh, Rob would love that one, Nolan. I need to do a version of these are a few of my favorite things, except change it to these are the things that Rob Brown hates. I could do that. These are the things that Rob Brown hates, urban and children. And yeah, I think I could do that. I think I could write that song. And the list grows. Might need a few more things or I'll have to repeat some stuff. Urban needs to be on there twice anyway, as far as Rob's concerned, I'm sure. So the Aggie chant with Jingle Bells. Hey, he may already have that album. If it's so, do you have the Texas A&M Christmas song album? Do you?
Santa came on an airplane. Freaking nerds.
Wait a minute. There's an actual song, Second Week of Deer Camp by the Youpers.
That sounds about right.
The Youpers? Sounds like something the Swedish Chef would say. Just going through a bunch of stuff that I left in the system, and apparently we did something where some Swedish chef got angry about something, so Chris was interviewing me as the Swedish chef. I'm dying laughing. It's like, man, I do not remember doing this, but this is great.
There it is. Hang on, let me find it. I'll show it to you. It's been a long time since I bought a t-shirt because I don't wear them as much as I used to.
Whereas I collect them.
I want that shirt.
Yeah, it just went away as soon as you did that. I saw the vert. Okay, yeah, I've seen that before.
I want that shirt so bad.
Come on, man, you can't do that.
Sure I can. There's nothing bad on that shirt. It's just a Swedish chef. I want that on a t-shirt so bad.
Gable's in the first break. You know what, Steven? That might be even a better version, but now I got a few of my favorite things stuck in my head. Maybe because I think Barbara Streisand did that. And, you know, I hadn't thought of her in forever until you read me that text. Steven Garcia tweeted, first of all, I want to thank Thanos and his dedication to rebalance all things. After diligent investigation, I've discovered I have a newfound year of eligibility due to the blip, and I'm entering the transfer portal. My recruitment is 100% wide open. That is great.
I like that dude a lot. The only thing I don't like about him is that Courtney has repeatedly told me she will leave me for Steven Garcia if he's ever back on the market. And I can't.
You know what Steven Garcia had?
Multiple kids.
Lots of hair.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
She tweeted at him one night. We were at the game and she was like, Steven Garcia, where you at? And he tweeted back just a picture of him with his kids. And I'm like, you just got shut down so hard. All right. She's going to kill me, but I'm going to tell this story real quick. Then we're getting to Tepper's presser. Steven Garcia just put up a very nerd-centric tweet, former Gamecock quarterback, in which, Lonzo, he said,
he says, first of all, I want to thank Thanos and his dedication to rebalance all things. After diligent investigation, I've discovered I have a newfound year of eligibility due to the blip, and I'm entering the transfer portal. My recruitment is 100% wide open.
All right. So, Steven Garcia, we've had Steven on the show a couple of times. I'll reach out. I'll see if we can get him back on, do a little postseason analysis with us. Love Steven Garcia. We've had him on the show 3 or 4 times. Dude is great. Love him. So Steven Garcia is the only guy that my fiance has been like, look, I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm gonna leave you if I get a shot with Steven Garcia. I'm like, yeah, I get that. Good looking guy, good hair, real good hair. Actually, I think he cut it all off recently. But either way, really good hair. So we were at a game, I think 2 years ago. We went over to Columbia for a game, Florida, South Carolina, I think. And she took a picture of the stadium and she tweeted him. She's like, Steven Garcia, where are you at? And he replied within like 30 minutes with a picture of him and his kids. And I'm like, dude, you just got shut down so hard. You got openly on Twitter in front of your entire friend base shut down by your crush. That's rough, dude. That's rough.
Yeah, but at the same time, he responded.
He did respond.
So there's that.
I'm not going to lie. I did get a little insecure for a minute. I'm like, oh, man. He at least thought enough of her to respond. Oh, crap.
Yeah, she's on the radar.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure he gets a ton of things. And he went, oh, okay.
Yeah. All right. Let's get to this. Let's get to this David Tepper thing real quick. Tep did a presser yesterday. About 10:30 in the morning, and it happened. It's a thing that happened.
That's, I think you can say more than anything that it happened.
It happened. It was a thing. Let's get to some of it, shall we? Let me get to let's start with Lonzo clip number 2D. David Tepper was doing his best to defend his tenure as the owner of the Carolina Panthers. A tenure that I would say, Zoe, has gone
not good.
Not great, Bob. Not great. He was asked about his approach. Is it time to kind of shift up your approach and maybe get a little less hands-on? And this is how Tep answered that question.
Look, as I said, there are reasons for each individual situation. I think you guys, upon your own reflection into looking what happened through the season, can understand that. You're around town, for those that are around town, and can know the reasons. Again, I'm not going to get into that into those particulars, but I do have patience. I'm just not. My reputation away from this game is one for extreme patience. There's no reason why that doesn't, come here too. It does. Now, that patience comes with good performance and things that you want to see progress being made on different aspects. And as I said, I would like to have somebody here for 20, 30 years. I'd like to have somebody that would say eulogy at my funeral in 30 years. Okay, maybe it's 40 years, I hope. But that's what I'd like to have.
David, now's not a time for jokes.
So what's someone around town? Does he mean if you're around Charlotte? Is that what I mean?
I don't know. And here's what's interesting about that. You know who the fans, Lonzo's going to hate this. He's going to despise this. You know who the fans are clamoring for right now to bring back?
Yeah, Wilkes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. They are clamoring to bring
All right,
Steve Wilkes back.
so if you're Steve Wilkes and you thought you did everything you needed to do to secure the job, and then the guy has made a mistake and asked you to come back, but you're currently the defensive coordinator on a team that
He's probably going to win the Super Bowl.
Probably going to be in the Super Bowl. Do you go, you know what? Never mind. I'm going to go back to that train wreck. Yeah, I don't think so.
Nope. So the fans are clamoring to bring Steve Wilkes back, right? And Steve Wilkes is from Charlotte. He's from the hood. That would be a hometown hero of a hire. And by the way, I would argue going 6-6 down the stretch, Steve Wilkes has been the best head coach. Statistically speaking, he was the best head coach that David Tepper has had under his employees.
That's pretty sad, dude. I mean, everyone's talking about it, but Steve Wilkes was so up and down. I mean, it wasn't like suddenly they pulled together and they won the last 6 games. It was like win a game, lose a couple, win a game. It just was not consistent. So if you get him, you're just going to get more of the same.
I mean, you don't know that. San Francisco's defense right now is pretty good.
Have you seen who's on San Francisco's defense? I think you or I could go coach that defense.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
You're not wrong. But still, you've got to organize it, put it together, pull it together. Here's all I'm going to say about that. That kind of set the tone for the presser. Tep was up there, and you could tell he was trying to do the old politician embroiled in a scandal routine, right? Where you're like, let me go be personable. But it's from somebody who has no idea how to be personable.
Yeah, I don't think he can. I mean, he doesn't even have the awkward charm of being awkward. He's a guy who's used to having everyone listen to him and laugh when he thinks they should laugh and all that. He's just very arrogant to the point where it's uncomfortable.
I'm not saying that billionaires can't be personable. I'm saying the list of those that are is like one hand, right? Like Mark Cuban is toward the top of that list, and I don't think I could do a long hangout with Mark Cuban, but he's about as close as you can get. So
I'll hang with him if I have some ideas.
Yeah, sure. But that's it. You're not hanging with him because he seems like a cool guy to hang with. You're hanging with him to get funding, right? And I'm sure that's part of being a billionaire. The overwhelming majority of people who are going to be around you are around you for what you can give to them, not because they want to be buds, right? So Teps is doing this like I'm trying to be personable because I'm a politician embroiled in a scandal thing, and it just didn't work. It didn't land. It's like, dude, if of all the times we wanted you to get up there and be a big stoned billionaire who just tells us how it is, now's the time. Well, I hope somebody can read my eulogy in 30 years.
See,
I mean, 40, yuck.
You know,
not the time.
All I saw was the same attitude as the guy saying people need to come out of their basement. It's the same. Yeah, it's the same tone, same everything. There's no remorse. There's no nothing. It's just like, hey, it's my team. I'll do what I want, which it is his team, and he can do what he
100%,
wants.
100%. But like I said yesterday, right? I came up with this metaphor, and I really like it. Being a fan of sports is like gambling. It's not like gambling. It's gambling, right? It is constantly every year putting a bunch of money into the slot machine and pulling the lever. And the reason that we gamble, those of us who gamble, we know, and okay, not me because I'm good at it. But for most people, you know when you gamble, you bet. Let me rephrase this. For those of you out there that are fans of putting money on the books or in the machines or on the table or wherever you like to gamble, the majority of us know we are going to lose more than we win, especially if it's like casino gamble. You're always going to lose more than you win. The point of gambling, though, for those of you that don't do it, the point of gambling is not to pay your house mortgage. The point of gambling is this is entertainment for a few hours, and consider your losses the price of admission. If I go to a movie, I pay $275 for a movie ticket, popcorn, and a small soda. But that is the money I pay to be entertained. If I go to a casino, I'm going to drop $100 on the blackjack table. I'm probably losing it. But for an hour and a half, 2 hours, I'm having a good time pretending like I'm going to be a millionaire.
Radio has taught me that I should never bet actual money. So, I mean, as many times as I've lost, which is very entertaining for other people.
Sure.
So I don't see that losing is entertaining. That's why I've always wanted to go to a casino. You know why I won't? Because I'll lose everything.
Being entertained is entertaining, and there is a cost for that. Whether it's your time or your money, there's a cost to be entertained, right? So if you're playing blackjack, 90% of the time you are going to lose money. But that's the same as buying a movie ticket. When the movie's over, you're done. You don't have anything to show for it other than conversations with other people who saw the movie, but you paid the money to be entertained for 2 hours or whatever it is. With gambling, it's kind of the same thing. Well, with being a sports fan, it's kind of the same thing. I am paying you X amount of dollars to be entertained for the length of a season with the possibility that every now and then I'm going to pull that lever and I'm going to hit the jackpot of my team winning a championship. That's the jackpot of gambling.
Or in Carolina's case, they've been to the Super Bowl twice.
Yeah.
So every decade or so, they get that team and they get the right coach and they're able to make it there.
Yeah. You know what that is? That's when you're playing the slot machine and you got to get like the 3 7s across. And if you get 3 7s, you hit the jackpot. Going to the Super Bowl is like 7, and that last wheel's coming around. And you're like, come on, baby, come on. And then it goes past it to the bus thing. And you're like, so close. But what does it make you do? You're like, I got to keep trying, right? This gamble's fallacy, but that's entertainment, right? Here's the thing. That with the Panthers right now is like sitting down with a blackjack dealer who is a known crooked dealer. and being forced to keep gambling because it's your only option. You can get up and go to another table, but then you're going to be called a table hopper or a bandwagoner, right? You can get up and go to the Cowboys table or the Niners table or the whatever, the Patriots table. But that sucks. You don't want to do that. You want to win at this table. So
you definitely are not going to jump to any other table in the NFC South.
Nope. Saints table's rigged too. All right. So, but here's the thing. I, as a Saints fan, we talked about this with Rashad yesterday. I, as a Saints fan, I've pulled that lever and hit a jackpot one time. And I will ride that high for the rest of my life. I said the night we won the Super Bowl, I'm like, dude, if we never win another one, that's okay. Because now I know the feeling. I'd like to. I'd love to. I'll lose my mind if we ever win another one.
I've got to feel it twice.
Yeah.
And
if it never happens again, I'm dying happy.
And the one that bothers you the most is the one you didn't get 100%. And you were there.
100%.
Yeah.
The one that bothers me most is the worst missed penalty in the history of the National Football League, because we would have beaten the Patriots that year. Would have done it, right? The Rams stank in the Super Bowl. We would have beat them. And I'll always have that. Anyway, point is, right now, I need somebody at that microphone who's going to go, look, here's the deal. We sucked. Here's why we sucked. Here's the processes we went through to suck, and here's what we're doing to correct it. Because I want to keep playing. I want to keep gambling. All right, let's go to, let's do this one, and then we'll take a break. Let me grab clip 2A. This is a question that was asked from Joe Person to David Tepper. And this is to kind of give you an idea of what the mood was in the room. And after we play it, I'll play you the answer. But here's the type of questions that Tep was facing.
Dave, you guys are 30 and 63 since you became owner. I think it's the second worst mark in the NFL, one of the worst marks in pro sports. You're about to hire your fourth head coach. Do you need to reevaluate the way you do things in terms of, A, maybe using a search firm in this hiring process, but also in how you manage day-to-day operations here?
Pointed question. Dude, since you took over, you have the worst record in the National Football League. This is true. There are, in American professional sports, since the day that David Tepper took over, there are only two other franchises that have a lower win percentage than the Carolina Panthers. One of them, I think, is the Oakland A's, and I think the other's the Detroit Pistons, which, by the way, quick, Lonzo, pop quiz, name me a single player for the Detroit Pistons right now. That's an NBA franchise. Name me one player.
Delonte West.
Maybe. Point here is, those are the questions. Let me tell you how Tep answered it. Clip 2B. This is how David Tepper answered that question.
Look, things are constantly evolving, and they'll continue to evolve. And, trying to make things better is what you always try to do. Obviously, that record's not good enough. There's no hiding it. It is what it is, like everything in this sport. Everything's left on the field. Everybody knows what it is every week. That record's that record. And like I said, it's not good enough. We're going to self-reflect and make it better.
That was the answer that David Tepper gave. Here is what David Tepper actually said. That's it. That was, again, at a point in time where Panther fans are just looking for something. Show me some bleeping leadership, David Tepper. Show me that you've got the rocks to do this job.
There was a song, and I don't remember who sang it. Give me something to believe in.
Yeah.
Because you're not giving me anything.
Nothing. At a point in time.
Including a straight answer. You're not giving me one of those.
Nothing. All I want is for you to show that you have the testicular fortitude to be a billionaire owner of a team that I am investing. And I will say because I, as Rob Brown, am investing in this team. I am giving dollars to this team. My radio station works with this team. I cover this team. I am eating up valuable airtime talking about your team. Give me a damn reason to believe that my investment is a sound one. Give me something to show that you have the leadership qualities to make sure that this goes well. And what are we getting out of Dave Tepper in this press conference? Nothing. Crickets, man. Crickets. It's pathetic. It's a pathetic sound from this press conference. Let's run to a break. When we come back, I have one more short response to play for you. David Tepper got asked, what do you say to the fans who are saying that their patience is now worn thin? Tep answered that question. And then Lonzo and I have 2 longer clips from the presser, and we're going to play a fun little game we like to call Hold Up. We're going to do that next. I'm Rob. He's Lonzo. The Rob Brown Show rolls on. This is the Fan Upstate.
Okay.
All right, guys, quick live read, and then we're coming back with the rest of those sounders. Don't go anywhere. All right, y'all, we're back. Thanks for hanging out. If you're enjoying the show, man, please share it around on your social media. We're trying to grow the community.
most important part is the one you need now, and the best partner is the one you control. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger, because we have professional grade supplies for every industry, even hard to find parts.
So that one clip, I didn't cut it. I just left it because you said
Yeah,
two.
we're gonna hold up
Okay.
on those.
I think you said 2 clips. So
There was one more I did.
one that you did. Okay.
Yeah, the long
All right.
one.
All right.
It says long in it, I think.
Why do I have to do it? I already don't have enough time to get my.
The Upstate Holiday Light Show is open now through December 31st at District Park at the intersection of 123 and 153.
Smith & James Fine Men's Clothing has been helping men in the upstate look their best for over 100 years. So you know they're reliable and trustworthy. And with custom-made suits, recreational wear, and unique college football polos you will not find anywhere else. With Smith & James, you'll have a unique style all your own and a fun, easy shopping experience to get it. Visit either of their stores in Greer or Greenville, or visit their website at smithandjames.com and look your best with Smith & James Fine Men's Clothing.
It's football season, and the NFL is in full effect on the free Odyssey app. We're heading into the final stretch of the regular season, and the playoff picture is starting to come into focus. Whatever team you're rooting for, the free Odyssey app has you covered with the local talk and your team's podcasts. Plus, listen to play-by-play of every Sunday night, Monday night, and Thursday night game from Westwood One. If you're looking for the NFL, it's all on the free Odyssey app. Download it today and search for your favorite team. That's AUDACY.
Today, plenty of sun and cold, high of 49.
Weather brought to you by Pfizer. COVID-19 can keep you on the sidelines. If you're more likely to get very
Just let it go, Reitzel, and do it later.
Oral treatment is right for you. Visit treatcovid19.com. Sponsored by Pfizer. Sponsored by Family Dollar.
Find more ways to celebrate the season at Family Dollar.
At least it was waited till 8:30 before
Get what you need for less.
giving news that I don't like.
Stocking stuffers, holiday candies, and more. Only at Family Dollar. Helping you do more.
Take control of your listening experience with Rewind on the Odyssey app. Missed a jaw-dropping moment? No worries.
The Odyssey app makes it easy.
With Rewind, you can relive big moments from Mark Ryan, Rob Brown, Jim Rome, and more. Don't miss a beat. Just hit Rewind with the Odyssey app on the Fan upstairs. Need to check the clock? It's Rob Brown time now.
All right, so a few more clips from the Tepper presser yesterday. Let us begin with this. He was asked, was David Tepper, a question about fans having patience. The reporter said, hey, man, you're up here preaching patience. Tepper went on, and you're going to hear it in a minute, but Tepper went on a long thing about how, outside of the football world, I'm known for that's my temperament is patience. Somebody said, hey, well, wait a minute here. You've asked the fans to be patient. They've been patient for 90 games under you, and you have lost over a third, or you have won less than a third. You have lost over 2/3 of your games as an owner. The fans' patience starting to wear thin, and Tepper, this is clip, actually, this is one of the long ones. So we'll play whole up with this. Here's the game. Lonzo and I are going to play a clip, and at any given point during the clip, we'll say, hold up, pause it, and then Lonzo and I will give the thoughts that we have in that moment. So Tep was asked about fans being patient, and this was his answer. He said, with great anticipation.
Look, as I said, there are reasons for each individual situation. I think you guys, upon your own reflection into looking what happened through the season, can understand that.
All right, hold on. He did this about 4 times during this press conference. A reporter would ask him a question, and he would roundabout say, well, with all these different situations, you guys can speculate. No, we don't want to speculate. Your tenure as the owner of this team has been atrocious. We are asking you, as the owner of the team, as the only person in this room who can do a damn thing about it, to analyze it, to evaluate it, and to tell us how you're going to fix it. Because there's a lot of people who have invested a lot of money and a lot of time into this team, and you have, according to us, run it into the ground. You took over a team that had been to the Super Bowl twice, and you have not won since you took over. So, owner, guy who makes the decisions, guy who signs the checks that are funded by our money, evaluate it, analyze it, tell us what you view the problem as, and tell us how you're going to fix them, not ask us to speculate that. We are here to report to the fan base what it is that you are saying and, more importantly, doing. So tell us what you're going to do. Don't tell us to speculate on what you should do. If you are asking us to speculate on what you should do so that you can do it, then sell the damn team and move on. You're a billionaire. Go buy an island in the Bahamas and relax if all you want to do is have us speculate for you.
Town for those that are around town and can know the reasons. Again, I'm not going to get into that particularly.
Hold up. That's why we're here, Tep. That's why we're here, to get into it, right?
Particularly
to get into it. You ever gone through a bad breakup? You ever gone through a bad breakup and your partner sits you down at the table and goes, hey, I think it's time for us to go our separate ways. And you go, why? What are you looking for? You're looking for them to go, here's why. Now, I don't know about you. For me, it's so that I can look at it and go, okay, what did I do right? And what did I do wrong, so that I can evaluate and make changes to myself that I need to make down the line? Because there's no one person responsible in any given breakup. It's a two-person tango. But if you sit down for a bad breakup and the other person goes, hey, we should go our separate ways, and you go, why? And they go, I'll let you speculate on that. I'm not here to discuss the particulars. I'm just letting you know that we're done. Bro, that's not okay. It's not okay. It's just not. Let's keep going.
Particulars, but I do have patience. I'm just not. My reputation away from this game is one for extreme patience. There's no reason why that doesn't, come here too. It does.
Hold up. Tep, none of us care about your reputation away from the club. Nobody is showing up at your corporate office and cheering you on while you manage hedge funds. It's never happened. None of us are buying $150 tickets to come sit in your office and watch you short stocks. It's never happened. We don't care. I don't care what your reputation is outside of the club. I only care about what it is inside the club. And inside the club, it's not going good. Inside the club, you look real bad at this. Let's go back to the breakup hypothetical. Could you imagine? She goes, well, I'm leaving you because you are, I don't know, you leave too many messes around the house. I feel like I'm constantly picking up after you. And you go, well, outside of this relationship, my reputation is that I'm very clean. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what your reputation is at work. It doesn't matter what your reputation is on the golf course. None of that matters. The only thing that matters is what your reputation is here in this relationship. And Tep, in this relationship, your reputation is not sterling.
Now, that patience comes with good performance and things that you want to see progress being made on different aspects. And as I said, I would like to have somebody here for 20, 30 years. I'd like to have somebody that would say eulogy at my funeral in 30 years. Okay, maybe it's 40 years, I hope. But that's what I'd like to have.
Dude, it's so bad. It's so bad. It's not a time for jokes. Right, you know this show. Lonzo and I, we joke all the time. We take very little seriously. But Lonzo and I also know when the boss calls us down and goes, this is the thing that we need fixed and changed right now, when we get back to the fortress of nerditude, it's not the fortress of nerditude, it's the office. And when Lonzo and I have that conversation, it is time for us to drill down and fix the problem. Tep, it is time to drill down and fix the problem, not be up there telling awful, stupid, pointless jokes. What was your takeaway from that clip? Because mine's not good.
He's a liar? Because where's his patience? I mean, how many coaches, not just here, but also on the soccer team? He's already fired a soccer team coach who, my understanding, was pretty good. So he doesn't have patience. it's looking in someone's face and saying something that everyone in the room knows isn't true, but you're still going to go through and say it anyway. I don't get how someone can do that.
I got nothing, man. All right, there's one more long clip. He was talking about or asked about the drafting of Bryce Young, right? Because there's the whole controversy. And there was a rumor going around that Frank Reich and the scouts, they all wanted CJ Stroud. They didn't want Bryce Young. And the rumor is that
there's that audio from the combine and stuff of them talking to CJ Stroud and saying a bunch of stuff.
So the rumor is Frank Reich and some of the coaching staff, including potentially McCown and Deuce Staley, though I'm not going to verify. I can't verify that. And then the rumor is that David, and maybe even more accurate, Nicole Tepper, wanted Bryce Young and stepped in and said, no, this is what we're doing here. Well, he got asked about that. And here was how that conversation went in round 2 of Hold Up.
No, it's been reported and we talked about it. Originally, we were going to go to the number 2 pick, and we thought we would get CJ because we thought the Texans were going to pick Bryce. And listen, we preferred Bryce. He was our number 1 pick. We had a lot of conviction. But in answer to your questions, it's just not the way the process was done. The process was done the way the process was done.
All right. Hold up. What how's the process done, Rob? I've seen the war rooms and all that kind of stuff and people getting really excited after they get who they want. What's the process? Are we too low level to know what the process is? I don't know.
You guys have gotten frustrated with me in the past. And I know sometimes it's joking, but a lot of times it's not. You guys have gotten frustrated with me in the past because I have said, I don't give a damn about your traditions. I don't care about your traditions. I don't care about anybody's traditions. What I care about is, are we doing it the right way? That's it. So I have also gotten in trouble in the past because I don't often have an issue questioning authority when authority says this is how it's done. I think the best thing in the world is when little kids ask why. I love that. I do it with my nephew all the time when he goes, why? Because to me, why should be answerable. If somebody asks you a question, why, and you can't answer that question with specifics and details, then there's not a reason. Now, I know that sometimes the guy's going to go, that's over your pay grade. I can't walk onto a military base and go, why are you undergoing this investigation or this mission or whatever, and expect a 5-star general to go, here's why, Rob. I understand some things are over my pay grade, but I'm an investor in this team. And just like if I went to a public hearing about a Fortune 500 company that I was an investor in, and the CEO gets up in front of the room and goes, questions, I should be able to ask anything with the statement of why and get a specific answer with valid reasons. Tep went, that's the process. Okay, what's the process, man? What's the process? Now, I understand NFL teams play things close to the vest, right? You don't want to give your secrets because you don't want to go, here's our process, and another team goes, oh, damn, that's a good process. They start doing that process, and they start taking the players you want.
Nobody going to look at this process and go, that's Bingo. A good process.
Bingo. Right now, whatever your process is, Tepper, you should do the exact opposite of that process. Because, and you can include putting drafting Bryce in this if you want. I don't. But for the past 4 years, Lonzo, name me a good decision the Panthers have made. Trading CMC wasn't. Trading DJ Moore wasn't. Granted, it was to get Bryce Young.
All right, what's his name? Went and sitting on the water cooler. Receiver. I forgot his name.
Robbie Chosen. Chosen Anderson. Robbie Chosen, whatever.
That was a good move.
Yeah, getting rid of that guy. That's it.
Yeah, that's the only one I can think of.
Temp, whatever your process is, stop the process. Stop it. Stop a new one.
And again, even though if there was a process with 5 people in the room and the way the votes came in, it was Frank was the first choice, I always could veto that choice. And even if it was Bryce and the votes came in unanimously in this particular case, I could have vetoed that choice. In both cases, I supported both choices.
All right, hold up. I mean, listen, I am not I am not at a point where I'm willing to label Bryce Young a failure because I think the organization, and for the record, you know who else I feel this way about, despite the Monday Night Football game? Justin Fields. I'm not ready to label the guy the failure. What I am, I put both of these cats in the exact same book. They are playing on an inept team with inept ownership, inept coaching, in a way that has dragged them down. I don't know what their ceiling is. I don't know how good Justin Fields can be. I don't know how good Bryce Young can be. Y'all don't either. Nobody knows how good these teams can be or how good these two young quarterbacks can be. What I do know is the longer you are within an inept system, the longer you are within a broken system, the harder it is to come back from that, right? When I left the first radio station I worked for, which was a broken station, I will forever be grateful for the opportunity, but the station was broken, and I had to carry it on my back for about 7 years. When I left and I got my first real radio job at a real radio station run by a real company, I had to relearn everything, and it took a while because I had spent so long in a broken system that I did not learn how to succeed in a good system. I learned only how to not sink in a broken one. That's all I learned. Justin Fields has not learned how to play quarterback in the NFL. What has he learned? How not to lose his job in a broken system and nothing else. And Bryce Young's in the exact freaking same boat right now.
Okay, I'm just going to say that I supported both choices. I supported the coaches. I supported the scouts, their unanimous opinion. And I supported Frank Reich. So whatever's good, bad, or indifferent is ultimately because the buck stops here, and I take full responsibility for everything.
Good?
Yeah, but do you? but do you? I mean, if you do, you're coming on and saying, hey, I've made some bad choices. I really have. I have the final say on this. I should have went a different direction. I'm bringing in some consultants. I'm talking to some people who are really good at this because I'm not. And we're going to fix this thing. But no, we know the buck stops there. That's why you're having a press conference.
You're here, Dave.
But that's the way the process runs. And just one last thing, and then we're going to go here. As far as Bryce Young is concerned, I cannot say this, for myself. And I think everybody in this building would share this sentiment. We are totally confident in that pick. Okay, I think the people that made that pick first, would be totally confident in that. Some of them you could ask. Okay, and I think and for me, I'm totally confident in agreeing with that pick.
Okay, so final thoughts here. Number one, that may or may not be true. What's Tepper going to do? Yeah, no, we screwed it up. Bryce sucks. CJ's the guy. We done got it wrong. That guy that's still our number one quarterback and will be for a while, whether it works out or not, because we gave our resources away to get him. He's not going to come out and boat talk his current franchise QB. Whether you like him or not, he is the franchise right now, right? You gave up too much to call him anything else. So that's all a waste of breath to me. He's not gonna not talk Bryce up. Okay. What we want to know is, how did you arrive at that decision? I'm gonna tell you right now. You know who holds? I thought he had no leverage. You know who holds the most power in this situation right now? You know who could drop a bomb? He won't do it. Because we had, I don't know who you said, somebody you said the other day, some reporter said that the view of Frank Reich right now is that he's Charmin soft, right? He's not a coach. He's just a nice guy. The belief right now is that the guy with the power to wreck David Tepper would be Frank Reich. If Frank Reich comes out with a book next year that says, I wanted CJ, Deuce wanted CJ, Josh wanted CJ, Scott wanted CJ, the locker room wanted CJ, but Dave and Nicole poked their head in the war room and said, I don't give a damn what you want, draft Bryce. That's our guy. David Tepper's tenure will be marked by empty stadiums for as long as he owns that team.
Yeah, but I disagree with you on that. It's going to be full of fans from the other team.
Okay, fair enough.
And I have never seen an NFL stadium that fills up more with the other team's
Y'all,
fans.
I've been going to Saints game my whole life. The New Orleans Saints, up until Vegas became a team, were the most traveled to NFL destination. I will tell you that even when the Saints sucked, I never saw a game where there were more away fans than Saints fans. Even when we sucked. I mean, bad sucked. There was never a game where there were more away fans than Saints game. Didn't matter if it was the Packers or the Cowboys. Never. Right now, Dallas fans took over Bank of America. If Frankie comes out with a book next year that says everybody in the locker room wanted CJ Stroud, but Dave and Nicole said, get Bryce or you're fired, David Tepper's out. We won't know until somebody comes clean. But this whole thing's ugly. He answered nothing. He said nothing. And he didn't come across as likable either. That was a disaster. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
Went a little late on that. We did.
It was important.
I agree.
I don't see, Keegan was talking to Lucas, but I don't see a Lucas.
Yes.
Okay. What are you going to do? All right, guys, give me 45 seconds. I'll be right back. All right, it was 55 seconds. Sorry about that. Oh, Lucas. Okay, Lucas's comment was from a while ago. I honestly, we get the most interaction, if you're still here, Lucas. We get the most interaction on Facebook. Actually, no, that's not true. Right now, we have the most interaction on YouTube. The majority of our listeners, viewers, are on YouTube right now. I would say earlier in the show, like in the morning, it's usually Facebook. In the afternoon, it's usually, or towards the afternoon, towards the end of the show, it's usually. I keep forgetting the show's over at 10 a.m. Yes, James, I am. Not that you were talking about me.
Gotta be honest, when you see me go quiet and I just don't want to talk the rest of the day, it's because I got an email. That's usually not about this show, about other stuff.
Yeah,
and that's
about real work.
Yeah.
We do have to occasionally do real work. It's the worst.
I know this is going to sound arrogant, and it's not meant to sound that way, but I sometimes wonder what it's like to be a regular employee and just go, nope, sorry, I can't make it. I
know.
I just sorry. I mean, all the things that you do, all the extra work you put in to get to a certain place, and you get there thinking that, then other people will follow suit and you won't have to do it the way, but it doesn't work that way. At least not for me. And supposedly you're labeled with not liking change, but change just means more work. That's really what it means. We've changed time slots 2 times already. Nothing's stopping you from doing that, James, but I don't have to read it. I'll just ignore anything that has maize or blue, and especially maize and blue.
The Rob Brown Show carries on. It is the Fan Upstate. Final couple of thoughts on the Tepper presser from yesterday. Got in front of the media. I will say this. I talked about this back in the first hour of the show. I'll bring it up one last time. I do not think that anyone is entitled to anything. But I am going to say that right now, more than anything else, what David Tepper needs is good PR, right? He's got to be better about talking to the fan base. He's got to be better about talking to Panthers fans across the Carolinas. He's got to. One problem that he found himself in was a communique with Scott Fowler. Now, again, I am absolutely not. This is another thing people have gotten mad at me about. I am not of the mindset of someone is old, therefore they are to be respected. Nope. You know who's respected? People who deserve respect. If you are 15, but a person that demands respect, I will respect you. If you are 89, but a complete and total butthole, I'm not going to respect you at all. Okay? Scott Fowler's been covering this team since 1995. This guy's been around as long as just about anybody. As far as covering the team, he has been longer than anybody. Scott Fowler was at that press conference yesterday. Scott Fowler sat front and center at that press conference yesterday. Scott Fowler, as did other media members, raised his hand in order to ask a question of Dave Tepper. Scott Fowler was never called upon. Now, again, I am by no means saying that just because he's there, he deserves to have a question. I am saying Scott Fowler right now is the type of cat you need on your side. You need a Scott Fowler in your pocket right now who is capable of talking to the fan base and saying, I know Tep said this, but here's what I'm seeing. I know Tep said this, but here's what I'm thinking. I know David Tepper said this, but here is how I feel about this situation. What is Scott Fowler spending today doing? He's not spending today going, listen, Panther fans, I know Tep said blank and the reality is blank. I know Tep said X and this is why. Instead, Scott Fowler is out there putting up articles that go, I don't know what to tell you. I know this team better than anybody else, and I believe that he does. I know this team better than anybody else. I can ask better questions than anybody else, and they actively ignored me. What Tep could have today is a column from Scott Fowler that's laying out things in greater detail about this team that Panthers fans might read and go, all right, you know, I don't love what's going on. But now I believe after the firing of Frank Reich, at least I feel like we are in a better position. At least I feel like we are pointing in the right direction because Fowler said X, Y, and Z. And instead of that, what you are getting today is articles from Scott Fowler that are saying, I tried, guys. I tried to get you some information. They flat out and outright ignored me. David Tepper doesn't know what he's doing. There's no good from Tepper here, right? Now, again, as Alonzo pointed out ever so astutely earlier in the show, Tep is used to, I'm assuming most billionaires are, used to walking in a room and having everybody in that room fawn over you. Because in this country, like it or not, wealthy equals success. If you are wealthy, you are successful. End of discussion. So Tep's used to walking in a room and having everybody go, oh, and fawning over him. And now what he has is tens, if not hundreds of thousands of fans who are going, dude, you suck at this. You suck at this because they're not benefiting from Tepper. They're not getting anything. They're not getting money from him. They're not getting time from him, and they're not getting a good football program from him. Dave Tepper needs good PR. He's getting none of it, and he didn't help his argument yesterday. That press conference was an unmitigated disaster. Not because of what he said, but because he said nothing. Because all we got was cricket noises in the shape of a guy who very clearly doesn't know what he's doing. I just recently joined on the Bash Tepper bandwagon, but that conference was a joke. I have said in the past, I think he's okay. He just needs to get out of the way, right? He knows how to run a business. He just needs to get out of the way. I don't think he does, or at least not this business, not in this industry. You know who does know how to kill it in this industry? Lonzo.
Yep, that's me. The NBA's in-season tournament has its knockout stage filled set. The Indiana Pacers have earned a host spot and will welcome Boston to town on Monday, and the Pelicans travel to Sacramento to play the Kings on Tuesday. The Knicks will visit the Milwaukee Bucks while the Lakers host the Suns. The penultimate college football playoff rankings have dropped. The list of contenders are Alabama at number 8, right behind number 7, Texas. Ohio State drops to 6 after their loss to Michigan. And Oregon sits just outside looking at number 5. Undefeated FSU rejoins the playoff 4 just behind Washington. Michigan at number 2. And Georgia remains at number 1. Tune in tomorrow night at 7:30 for Thursday Night Football as the Cowboys take on the Seahawks right here on your home for the NFL, The Fan, Upstate. Yes, I was fighting a sneeze that entire time. Oh, that was rough. Boy, with the new podcast rules,
that segment's going to be trash.
Oh yeah, 2 segments will be.
Yeah, that whole hour actually, because we played them in the first 2 segments.
We did,
and then I talked about him in the last. Honestly, I wouldn't even post that hour.
No, I'm going to, because I'm supposed to, and If they don't like how it sounds, well, then they need to stop with that rule. Especially since what we just got was from a press conference, and I don't.
He's not a coach. He's just.
Usually I can look and see where the lives are, but because of all that, there's so many breaks. Rob Brown Show. I am good. Let me let Rob know that you're on the line, and we'll get right to you. We're getting ready to come right out of the break. Hang on.
Is that Coach?
Yes.
The final hour of the Rob Brown Radio program starts right now. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Fan Upstate. I am Rob Brown, the great Alonzo, on the ones and twos, and we are now very honored to welcome into the radio broadcast for the very first time a gentleman that you will be hearing quite a bit from on this show for hopefully the next handful of years, as long as he wants the job. He, ladies and gentlemen, is the new gaffer, the new manager, the new head coach of our Greenville Triumph. He is Coach Rick Wright joining us here on the show. Coach, how we feeling, big guy?
Good morning. Good morning. I feel great. It's been a great last month trying to get everything back on the rails here, and really excited and looking forward to this challenge.
Man, I know you are. Got a chance yesterday to come down to HQ and see your introduction to the media and the community as the new head coach. Let's start with this. What's the reception been like? What's the interaction been with? I know the Triumph go out of their way to have a wonderful working relationship with the community at large. What has been your take on that since being named the new gaffer?
Well, to be quite honest with you, it's a very humbling experience. The good thing is that I've been in this community for so long that I've always been a part of it. And so it's kind of one of those things where the people that I am running into, they're excited about it. And to a person, they're saying, hey, you deserve this, step up, take your chance here and really make a good thing of it. So excited about it. I've got a really nice staff. I'm basically taking over John's staff that we had assembled previously. And we're excited. We're excited for this challenge.
Rick Wright is the new head coach of the Greenville Triumph, joining us here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Coach, you take over, obviously, for John Harkes. He's a USMNT icon. He's a Greenville Triumph icon, led the team in 5 seasons to 5 consecutive playoff appearances, 2 League One championship runner-ups, and a League One championship in 2020, pardon me. Can you talk to me a little bit about, while you were coaching under and with John Harkes, some of the lessons that you learned that you will carry with you forward into your new role?
The biggest thing is, I've been very fortunate that from the very first open tryout that we had, I've been a part of the club. John didn't really know me at all and invited me to the tryout. And from that very first tryout, he was insistent that I become a part of the staff. And I've done that. And first time in my career I'd ever been an assistant coach, which is kind of crazy. But so it was a little bit of a transition. And, I'm a pretty observant person. I'm a student of the game, and I watch John. And some of the things that I've really, really taken away from John is that you do have to have a process, which I've always known that, but he really, really strengthened my conviction that you have to have a process. Culture is just a word. And the thing that resonates with me is the fact that you have to live it. You have to breathe it. You have to be consistent with it every single day. And that's one of the things that we're going to continue. We're going to change some things, obviously, but at the same time, hopefully for the better. And we'll create that culture moving forward and really have the players understand that, it's our team. It's their team. It's not just Joe Irwin's team. Yeah, he's the spine of the process and the program, but at the end of the day, our guys have to really play for the badge, have to play for the crest. And that's one of the things that John really, really emphasized to me. As far as the actual coaching, it's interesting because I think watching John as a player, he could be fiery at times and very motivated and passionate. And I'm not saying that that's not the case as a coach, but I learned more from John when we lost than when we won. It's easy to be on top of the world and be doing well when you're winning, but every year we've had a situation that has arisen where we've either given the game away or just not performed to our expectations and our standard. And me as a coach, I would have gone in the dressing room and really given a tongue lashing to the guys because they let an opportunity slip through their fingers by either not being passionate enough, dedicated enough, whatever the case might be. John never did that. How he did it, I don't know, but he would go in the dressing room and he would really calm things down. He would motivate the guys, but at the same time realize that they did let that opportunity slip through their fingers. And I remember in the first year, we played Tucson at home and we were 2-0 up. I think it was 2-0 or 2-1 up. And we ended up losing 5-2. And I was ready to go in and spit nails at the guys and, and he went in and I was absolutely blown away with the speech that he gave. And henceforth, we go on a 9-game unbeaten streak after that. So those are some of the things that I've really learned from John. Obviously, he's got so much experience and he's very humble about it, and he was able to pass on a lot of little things to the whole staff, not just me. So, yeah, it's been a great learning curve. I'm a student of the game. I always listen. And John taught me a lot.
We're talking with Rick Wright. He is the new head coach of our Greenville Triumph here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. I heard you say yesterday, Coach, a number of times during your introductory presser that you're a very goals-oriented person. Obviously, the Triumph have accomplished a lot, 5 consecutive playoff appearances, as we mentioned earlier, a couple of league runner-ups and a league championship. When you talk about goals, like obviously every coach has got the goal of make the playoffs, win in the playoffs, win a league championship, etc. But for you in year one, can you kind of give Triumph fans listening across the upstate some of those goals that you are starting with as a goal-oriented manager?
The big thing right now is I love to set goals, short-term goals, medium goals, long-term. The first process is Nico, our assistant, Nico Luque, who is a really top-class assistant. In essence, to be very candid with you, I think the Triumph very fortunate because we kind of have 2 head coaches here. But, we are we've already sat down and we've come up with goals from the type of players that we want to bring into the club because we are losing some old players. And I don't mean old age-wise. I'm talking about players that were on the roster before. And, it's part of the upgrading process. The league is getting better every year. We are the standard. So We've got that big target on our back. So we've set some goals on what type of players we're going to bring in, what kind of people we're going to bring in, so that we can vet them and make sure that we're not bringing in a person that's just worried about themselves and just worried about, processing and pushing themselves forward. We want to make sure that they're very team oriented. So in addition to the team having goals, I'm going to sit down with every single player and find out what are their goals and how we can implement their goals in with ours. I had a conversation yesterday with a number 9 that we're talking to, and I asked him very candidly, I said, what are your goals? And he kind of stumbled a little bit. A lot of people don't think about goals like that. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to start with that part of the process. I'm also very big in writing those goals down. You can talk about them till you're blue in the face, but your daily goals, you need to write them on a piece of paper. You need to tape them to your mirror. And so that every morning when you wake up, you can look at them and say, this is the things I've got to accomplish and then the things I'm going to achieve today. And then, like I said, you've got your medium goals and you got your long range goals. And so that's the process that Nico and I have already started. And what kind of player do we want to get? And we've written down the goals. We've got the expectations, and now we're beating the bushes. And there are a lot of good players out there, Rob. I'll tell you, there are a lot of good players out there. So we've got to vet those people and make sure that we bring them into our environment, into our culture, so that we can be successful, short term and long term. Like you say, everybody writes down, we want to play in the playoffs. We want to win in the playoffs. And sometimes, if you set a goal that far down the road, you kind of lose the process of how you're going to get there. So every day, one of the things that I said in the press conference yesterday is that I like to challenge people as well. So every day when we step on that field, I'm going to challenge my staff to make sure we get the most out of the players. We're going to challenge each player to make sure that they don't take a day off. And we want to make sure that you take these small steps, because if you keep your eye on the prize down the road, that's important. But at the same time, you've got to have the little baby steps to get you there. And so once we can get the roster set, we're going to have a very aggressive training program. We're going to make sure that we, like I said, we understand how we're going to achieve what we're going to achieve. As far as some changes with our philosophy moving forward, we're going to spend a little bit more time in training on set pieces. 60% of all goals come from set pieces. And I think a lot of people hear that and they go, yeah, well, we don't score 60% of our goals. It's not talking about scoring. It's talking about any type of goal. So we're going to make sure that we're better on defensive set pieces. We're going to make sure that we're better on offensive set pieces. And we'll have a clear path for the guys to understand. In the process, and at the end of the day, the players still have to make the decision. That's why this game is such a great game, because we don't have timeouts. We don't have situations where we can set the table, so to speak, and make the players execute. We've got to let them have the cognizant, recognition of seeing a situation and then executing accordingly. So, goal setting is very important. And Rob, I love to challenge. So every day I'm going to challenge the players. I'm going to challenge our fans. We want Furman to be full. We want the Reedy River Riot to have a big membership so that we can rock that stadium and really show the league that we are the premium club in the league.
Rick Wright, the new manager of the Greenville Triumph. You mentioned there, Coach, changes within the club. And obviously when you go from one manager to the next, there are, no matter how well they work together, there are going to be philosophical ideologies that are going to change. There are going to be training techniques that are going to change, et cetera. What type of changes? I mean, this club has obviously been wildly consistent from year 1 to year 5, going into year 6 and beginning your tenure as the manager. What, if any, changes to the club philosophically, technically, physically, do you see being made that Triumph fans may notice when we get back into Paladin Stadium for the season?
Well, I think the first thing that we have to do, and this is not something that I've arrived with just by myself. This is a goal that John and we actually set for our program before, and we've just not been able to quite achieve it. And that is, we've got to get our roster a little bit younger. We've got some older players on the team, and I'm not saying that we're going to get rid of them. We do need to figure out how to get the roster a little bit younger. And that's something that Nico and I are looking at very closely. We're in a situation where we we obviously do have some budget constraints, so we've got to look at that as well. So it's not just the first guy that comes along, we see him and he's a young guy and he's pretty good or he's really good. And we're gonna make sure that we're getting the right guy that's going to fit our program. So that is very important. And then, the other part of the equation, I think every coach probably has this on their list of things that they want to do with their squad. We want to get a little bit more athletic. And that doesn't mean that we want a bunch of sprinters that are going to be sprinting up and down the field and can't kick a ball. We want to make sure that we can find some really athletic guys that are footballers, that are good quality footballers. And so we're going to be very careful how we do that. We've had a couple in the past and they haven't quite worked out, but we're really, like I say, beating the bushes. We're going to make sure that we bring in some athletic guys that can really play the game so that we can have a little bit of a more of an athletic threat. And then, another thing that we're going to try to do, I mean, I don't know if it's possible, but we're going to do the best. We're going to try to see if we can uncover some local guys, some guys that are here in the community. We're going to have our first tryout that we've had probably in about 3 or 4 years now. And as soon as we set the date, that'll be on the website. And we're hoping we can uncover a diamond in the rough that we can, sign and get on the books type of thing, and see if we can generate some local interest with the players that we uncover there. So those are some of the things that we're going to do. As far as overhauling the whole program, no, John set up a good program. And, it wasn't a program that John just set up all by himself. John was very good at including every member of the staff in the process and how we're going to do things and why we're going to do things. So, it's going to be very subtle changes. And it's something that, like I said, we've sat down, Nico and I and Ryan Mackey, we've sat down already and we've come up with some really good ideas of moving this thing forward.
We're talking with Rick Wright. He is the new manager of the Greenville Triumph. I wanted to ask you about that. I'm glad you hit on that, Coach. Yesterday at the presser, you did mention that this area does have a very deep soccer culture with the success of Clemson and South Carolina, of some of the other smaller schools with very successful lower-level college programs, with obviously the Greenville Triumph being one of the staples of USL League One. A lot of connections with Furman. Clint Dempsey played there, etc. Went on to be a USMNT legend as well. You mentioned having a relationship, and obviously the Triumph have constantly hit on they want to be good partners with the community at large. How do you find the balance between being an upstate soccer club, trying to find players from the upstate to come into the Triumph program and continue the success this club has had, but also make sure that you are finding talent from around the world that can come in and elevate Greenville? How do you as the manager evaluate making sure you find a balance between being a local club, but recognizing that this is an international game?
Right. Well, the fact of the matter is, when you're looking at players, you really don't take into the equation whether they're from right across the road here from Furman University or they're from, Kenya or somewhere like that. The beauty of looking at local players is that you get the opportunity to see them more often, and you get to see them in person, and that is a huge plus. If I'm needing a right back, for example, and I'm watching a game that a player that is playing, let's say in Tampa, Florida, and he's playing right back. Well, when their left back has the ball, I haven't got a clue what that guy's doing. I don't know what he's doing. He could be making himself a cup of tea over on the sideline. I don't know. But I can go to Furman and I can watch him, and I can watch what that right back is doing when the ball is on the other side of the field. I can see if he's engaged with the game. Is he thinking ahead? Is he trying to anticipate what's going to happen next? All those things come into really eyeballing and making sure that you are getting the right guy. And then you look at the equation of, I've known, Dougie Allison since he was a player at South Carolina. I've known Brett Bulwer since he played at PC. So I can pick up, the phone. I can walk over there and watch them practice. I live right across the road from Furman, so I can go over there and put my eyeball on him and really get a feel for what that guy's like. And the same thing with South Carolina. I can call Tony down there and get a good idea what's going on. Of course, Mike down at Clemson's wide open. He'll let us come down there, and So it's important that we do that we really, really keep in touch with the local guys. If you look at the way the game is structured in other countries, and I know that other countries are a lot smaller than we are, but there's a group of players that they should be saying, hey, I want to play for the Greenville Triumph. And so why wouldn't I go look at them and really run the rule over them and say, this guy is good enough? Or, hey, keep working at it. We'll take a look at you next year. There's all sorts of things. And you look at the club, the club situation. CISA, what a great club. I mean, the vision that those guys, Andrew and Pierce, have had over the years. They've brought in, some really top-notch guys over the last few years. Vic Pace, who played at Upstate. Premier coaches, and so it's good to be able to pick up the phone or go watch them practice and really get a feel for what they're producing. The plan is for this coming year, we are going to try to pluck about 3 or 4 of the CISA, ECNL top-level players, U18s, U19s, to see if they can fit it into their school schedule to take some time off in the mornings and come and train with us, kind of like what we did with Patrick Kayali. Jonah Biggers, they both came over and played for us. And so that's something that we want to continue. We want to keep building on that so that they can really develop as players. Jonah ended up going to South Carolina. I believe he started quite a bit and did well down there. So, we're going to try to do that so we can help them develop. Because at the end of the day, we hope that they come back and play for their hometown club.
Rick Wright joining us here on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Yesterday introduced as the new manager of the Greenville Triumph. Last one for you, Coach, and then we'll let you go because I know you got a lot going on right now. You spent quite a bit of time yesterday directing comments towards the Reedy River Riot, of which I am a proud member, La Familia, all the different supporters groups, talking to them about making sure that when next season rolls around, Furman is full and rocking. And you repeatedly pointed out that is to create an environment for the players to flourish. I've talked with athletes who have said once the game starts, the fans are drowned out. I have talked to plenty of players who have said that the energy and the emotion from the fan base is a driving factor in a match for them. For you as the manager, how important is it to have a great relationship with the fan base like the Triumph had for the past couple of years, and to make sure that people are coming out to the stadium and participating and tailgating and being loud and creating that environment? How impactful is that for a club like the Greenville Triumph?
Oh, it's massive. It really is massive. And, from day one with my relationship, I've always tried my best to interact with the Riot and La Familia and really let them understand, we are here for them. If we're needed, if I'm needed to go, if they're going to do a membership drive and have an event somewhere, hey, give me a call with enough notice. I can fit it in my schedule. I will be there. I tell you, there's nobody, I'm not going to say nobody, but I have a tremendous passion for this game. I love this game. I really and truly do. And, it's very encouraging when you go to a game, let's say at Furman, and you walk over to the Riot tailgating, and they're excited. They really are. So if you can imagine, let's say there's 30 people there, if all 30 bring one extra person just to see what the environment's like, you now got 60, and that's a pretty good get together. And then next time it's 120, so it just takes a little. You don't say, let's go out and recruit 100 people. You tell everybody, go out and recruit just one person. And, wow, that would be a pretty cool environment to have, where they can have a nice tailgate beforehand and really, really get the vibe going. And then, man, have the march into the stadium and just, I think it'll really, really excite not only the players, but I think it would excite the other fans that are there. Like, wow, we need to be a part of this. I have friends that have been to just 1 or 2 games, and they always say, wow, the environment's incredible, and we'll buy a season ticket and come more often. Met a fella yesterday at the downtown store, works right across from the office, and he's a season ticket holder, and his wife encouraged him, to get season tickets because she calculated, hey, that's 15 date nights I get with my husband. So it's pretty interesting how people look at it. And, if we can help, if Nico and I and Ryan can help the Riot build that membership, hey, I'm all in. I'll be there whenever you need me. And we can do some fun things. We really can. We can be creative and really get some things rolling over there.
Rick Wright, the new head coach of our Greenville Triumph, headed into year one, introduced yesterday at HQ downtown, and now we got training in the offseason, roster building to look forward to. Coach, my man, I know you're busy. I appreciate you taking a few minutes. Great to have you on the show. I know we're going to do it plenty of more times between now and picking up some more hardware at the end of next season, my friend.
I like that. I like the thought process there. Definitely, for sure. I'm available. You let me know when you need me. And then, we'll see everybody at the stadium March 9th for our first game of the season.
Mark it. Write it down. Let's go. Coach, welcome to the Rob Brown Armada, my man. Great to have you. We'll talk to you soon.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You got it. You as well. Coach Rick. I love that dude, man. Rick's the best. He is the nicest dude, but there is, and I mean this, I got a chance to talk to him for a couple of minutes yesterday. There is a fire in that guy. That dude is driven, and I love it. Let's take a break. We'll come back. We got plenty more to get to before we wrap up the radio broadcast. It's Rob, it's Lonzo, it's you. It's the Rob Brown Show. It's the Fan Upstate. All right, guys, real quick live read right here, and then we're right back. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back.
world-class website for technology project, then I would highly recommend AmericanEagle.com. Call AmericanEagle.com at 773-NETWORK. That's AmericanEagle.com, 773-NETWORK.
Cyber Golden Gable deals are here at Lowe's. Deck your home with a holiday living four-piece decor set that includes a wreath, garlands, and 2 potted trees. A $149 value for just $59. And don't forget to upgrade your bathroom with up to 50% off select vanities, faucets, and shower heads. Hurry, these cyber savings won't last because Lowe's knows deals. File to 11/29 while supplies last. Selection varies by location. Take control of your listening experience with Rewind on the Odyssey app. Missed jaw-dropping moments? No worries. With Rewind, you can relive big moments from Mark Ryan, Rob Brown, Jim Rome, and more. Don't miss a big just hit Rewind with the Odyssey app on the Fan Upstate. Rise and shine, sports fans. Grab your coffee and a jolt of sports on the Rob Brown Show.
Thank you to new head coach of Your My Our Greenville Triumph, Rick Wright, for joining us. And thanks, of course, as always, to Chris Lewis and Doug Irwin and co. over at the Triumph for setting that up. Man, those guys have been so good. I got told yesterday that was his first radio interview as the head coach of the Greenville Triumph. First time he did radio right here on the Rob Brown Show. Ever so honored to have Coach Wright. Looking forward to see what he is going to do as the manager of the Triumph moving forward. Like I said, on the way out of the door, and I meant it. Yesterday, I got the chance to speak with Coach for a couple of minutes after the press conference before I got out of there. We were setting up the discussion with Coach today, and one thing I can tell you for certain is that, man, that dude has a drive to succeed. Like that guy, if I have met anybody in the world of local sports, and this is not a shot at anybody else, this is not an insult to anybody else, this is strictly a compliment to Rick Wright and the selection process that the Triumph went through to go ahead and elevate him into the gaffer position. If there is anybody in the local sports world that I think embodies that Mamba mentality, it's Rick Wright, right? Like it is Coach Wright. In the conversation that I had with him very briefly yesterday, in the conversation that we had with him in the last segment, in the conversations that I have had around the club over the last 4 years since I've been here. I was not here for year 1, got here for year 2, but in the 4 years that I've been here, of all the conversations that I have had, man, Rick he's not going to fail. Like he will not accept failure. And I love that about him. You heard it. He's like, dude, there's sometimes I want to go spit nails at the players. I have now learned the lesson from John Harkes about when to pump the brakes a little bit and to be an inspiration. But he's not going to accept failure. And I love that. I love that conversation. You know who could take a lesson from that guy? David Tepper. Dave. Sound more like Rick. Dave. Be more like Rick. Dave. All right. I want to throw this out real quick because I've done my best not to include the comments in my discussion over the years. I'm not. And this may very well come from a position of, I don't know. I don't want to use the word animosity because I don't think it's animosity. I respect what the guy has done as a career. I respect how he's gotten to where he's gotten. I respect that he has a model that I refuse to use, a model that I refuse to participate in, a model that I can't do it. But I recognize that he can. I recognize that he has, and I respect how. Paul Feinbaum. Feinbaum was on Get Up this morning, and they brought Heather Dinich on as well, who I do really like Heather Dinich. I think she does good work. And Feinbaum got asked about Florida State as the 4th member of the playoff 4. I'm just going to play you this audio, and then I want to react to it with you. All right? Here's Feinbaum on Get Up this morning.
The season. But if Alabama and Texas should win Saturday, should Alabama or Texas, which one should be in the top 4, you think?
Well, I think we're looking at the wrong two schools, Brian. To me, it should be about Florida State. And I know what everyone wants to say, and I don't want to upset my dear friend Heather, but I don't really care about the argument that Florida State is a undefeated Power 5 champion. I mean, so what? They're beating Louisville, which lost to a pedestrian Kentucky team last week. To me, Alabama and Texas are razor close. I'll give Alabama the edge for one reason, because they would have beaten the biggest bully in the land, and that should count for something. That game on September 9th is important, but it's not very important to me, because when my eyes look at college football, I will see a better team in Alabama. And I don't want to drag Marcus Spears into this, but he played in the SEC, and he knows it's a lot different conference than the ACC and the Big 12 right now.
All right, so that's Paul Feinbaum this morning, and I got a real problem with what he just had to say. I'm sorry, I just do. He went with they barely got by a Florida team that lost to Kentucky, or playing a Louisville team that just lost to Kentucky, and that's all well and good. Here's my quick question, Paul. Like, I understand you're pointing out that Alabama will have played, and if they win it, defeated Georgia, but if that's the case, then explain to me why Alabama gets credit for beating Auburn, a team that lost to New Mexico State. I'm sorry, but if we're going to compare L's, Louisville's L to Kentucky is not as embarrassing as Auburn's L to New Mexico State. Sorry, Keegan, I love you, brother. But they lost to not lost to New Mexico State. They got it handed to them by New Mexico State. Auburn had no red zone possessions against New Mexico State. New Mexico State. Louisville lost to Kentucky in a very close game. A respectable Kentucky. Not a good Kentucky, but a respectable Kentucky. You lost to New Mexico State, but yet he's going to glance over that undefeated Florida State. Undefeated Florida State. A team, by the way, that is playing in a conference that has more eligible teams than the Southeastern Conference. There are more bowl-eligible teams in the ACC than there are in the SEC. Look, the game is the most deserving teams. Not the four best, the four most deserving. That includes, how did you stack up against your regular season schedule, and how difficult was that regular season schedule? Florida State's regular season schedule may not have been as difficult as Alabama's. I would argue it was, to be honest with you. But we can do that another discussion another day. But Florida State did not lose a football contest. Alabama did. Florida State is going to win a Power 5 conference with more bowl-eligible teams than the one that Alabama will win if they get through Georgia. I'm going to argue Alabama's win over Georgia will be a better win than any win Florida State had. That is absolutely correct. I am not going to disagree. But
Florida State have a chance of winning the national championship.
No, they're going to get their asses kicked in the playoffs.
Okay.
Right?
All right.
Little brother just propped into the chat. Little brother said FSU.
So they're basically Cincinnati this year.
They're TCU last year.
Well, TCU, look at what they did to Michigan.
They did destroy Michigan.
Yeah.
That's fair. But here's the thing. He said FSU gets demolished in the playoff, and you know it. It sucks, but injuries happen. Yes, they do. And here's the thing. You know who else they said that about, Lonzo? Your Ohio State University. When your starting quarterback went down and Cardale Jones stepped in, and everybody went, Cardale who? Who the Dale is that? And what did Cardale Jones do that year as the backup quarterback going into the playoffs? Do you remember, Lonzo? Because I do. He won the national championship in a year that nobody expected them to. He won the national championship as a backup. Listen, I agree. I think Florida State loses to Georgia by 21 or worse. I think Florida State loses to Michigan by 21 or worse. I think Florida State loses to Oregon, assuming they win. They are the betting favorites by probably 17 or worse. I don't disagree. But you know what else I don't disagree with? I don't disagree with the fact that upsets happen all the time. Upsets happen all the time.
So in this scenario, I'm curious. So there are other teams out there that are better than Florida State and probably should be in there, right?
I would say Florida State, if I'm power ranking these teams, is the 9th best team at best. Yes. But it is not about who's the best team today. It is about who has been the most deserving teams start to finish. And you can say all you want. There are 5 Power 5 conferences. Of those 5 Power 5 conferences, there have been 4 teams, 4, count them 1, 2, 3, 4, woo, in all of America that managed to go 12-0. 4. To me, the entire season resume is what makes you deserving. Not best, but deserving. You earn a shot over 14 weeks of football. You earn a shot. FSU, even with a backup quarterback, has at least earned the chance. If you didn't want FSU there, Alabama, don't lose to Texas. Texas, don't lose to Oklahoma. Oregon, don't lose to Washington. It's real simple. Ohio State, don't lose to Michigan. Just like FSU beat everyone they lined up against, you had the exact same opportunity. 12 regular season games, win them all, and you're dancing. That is how it has worked every year. Every year, you win them all, you're dancing. I am not going to punish the other 21 starters from Florida State because one of them got dinged up. Yes, it's the most important guy on the field. It was a potential Heisman Trophy finalist, without a doubt. That is awful. But I'm not going to punish the entire program because of a single guy when they did, including 2 full games, that they had to play without Jordan Travis. They put 50 plus up against him, up against North Alabama without Jordan Travis. They went into a place that is routinely considered the most difficult college football stadium to play in. I don't think it is, but it's in the top 5, no doubt, in Gainesville, Florida, and they beat Florida twice. They won without Jordan Travis. They have earned a shot. It is the most deserving based on the season that you had. Now, if 2 teams are identical, if they are both 11-1 and they are both conference runners-up, then I'm absolutely fine with you utilizing what those teams look like on the field today as your final metric for elevating one or the other. But if a team goes 12-0, scratch that. If a team goes 13-0, and by the way, FSU's not guaranteed to beat Louisville. Louisville's still a good team despite losing to Kentucky. FSU is, on the Vegas line right now, a 2.5-point favorite. It's a neutral site game. Vegas believes Florida State to be 2.5 points better than Louisville. They can lose that game. And if they lose that game, none of this matters because they're out. They are the only, in my opinion, they are the only undefeated team that if they lose this weekend has a 0% chance of making it to the playoffs. But if they win, to me, they have a 100% chance of going. Paul, it's real easy, buddy. Real easy. If you want, and let's be real, Paul broadcasts in Alabama. Everything's Alabama to Paul because that's the successful fan base. Just like a lot of shows around here, all they're going to do is live, eat, sleep, and breathe Clemson football because that's the powerhouse around here. Even when they're in the down year, they're the powerhouse right now. Flip the script, South Carolina. Paul's going to live, eat, sleep, and breathe Alabama because that's his fan base. That's his motif. That's his MO. Paul, if you wanted Bama in, don't lose to Texas. It's real simple. Don't lose. And you would go. There would be no question. Let's take a break. We'll come back, wrap this thing up. Sean Brown celebrating the UCF National Champions of 2017. Go Knights! Back after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
Bruce Campbell says that every character he played in Sam Raimi's stuff, including Multiverse of Madness, it's all the same guy.
Like the character is the same character?
Yeah.
I love it.
It's the same guy, and he may show up again.
So not like I'm like typecasting myself. He means literally it's the same guy.
Yes.
I love that.
Oh. They put out more pictures from the Fallout TV series that's coming.
They're doing a Fallout series?
Yeah,
Interesting.
it's looking pretty good, especially the power armor looks sweet.
I fired back up Fallout 4. And because I downloaded it, but I never started it. So a few days ago, I was waiting on Courtney to get home, and I was like, I have not played a game in a while, like at all. So I'm like, let me see what's in the catalog that I haven't done. I fired that up, and the opening scene where they shoot the wife when she's in the cryopod and trying to fight him.
Yeah.
I was like,
that's messed up, isn't it? Yeah.
What?
So
and then I started.
So you don't know the story for that?
No. I've never played a Fallout game.
Okay.
So I didn't know if I was like, can I jump into 4?
By the way, that was my first Fallout
Yeah.
game, was 4. Everyone says 3 and Vegas are great. I tried to go back, but because 4 is more advanced, I can't. It just doesn't work for me.
So I started it, and I made it to, well, I felt so bad. I made it to where like you come out of the vault and you go down and you cross the river and you go into the town.
Sanctuary.
Yeah. Well, when you're going to the gas station where the first mech suit builder is, the dog was at the front door and started running at me, lit it up. Well, I had a pistol. So
You can't kill him.
Can't kill it.
Yeah.
But when it came up to me,
he's a main character. You can't kill him.
When he came up to me and started wagging his tail, I'm like, I'm terrible. I just unleashed on this dog without even being like, is it a good dog?
It
is
moved,
this a good boy?
It moved, so I shot.
Yeah, 100%.
By the way, other dogs are vicious.
That's what, and I knew that.
Yeah,
so I think that's what panicked me, because you can hear it barking when you get closer to the town, and then it just started running at me, and I'm like, nope.
So unless you have mods in there, he's the only one that looks at it.
Yeah.
So,
well, I got into it, and then it started walking me through the power armor customization and all that, and I'm like, this is too in depth for like a every now and then game. Like, I'm not going to be able to do this until I can jump into the game, like play the game.
collecting power armor is kind of a thing too.
Yeah,
you
I
can get
know.
multiples, and you can.
You know what kills me with Skyrim? Crafting. It's just it never catches me. I can't do it. The Rob Brown Show rolls on. It is the Fan Upstate. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen, wrapping up this edition of the show. 844-326-3663. If you want to sneak in here before we get out of here. Oh, why am I thinking about, I'm losing my mind. Whatever.
I mean, I can pretend like there's, I mean, you know, but no.
So, we've talked about this a lot today. New playoff rankings. Why wouldn't we? It's college football championship weekend. This weekend, we will determine who is playing for a natty and who is going home disappointed. Let's get before we go to what the X is going on and call it a day. Let's get the easiest one out of the way. Does anyone disagree? Does anyone disagree that if all 4 undefeated teams win, that's your playoff?
No, that's it.
Yeah. I think if all 4 undefeated teams win, you cannot replace one of them with Bama. You cannot replace one. I mean, you can, but the committee will not replace one of them with Bama, will not replace one of them with Georgia or with Texas, will not replace one of them with Oregon. Of course, they would all have 2 losses, so that makes that decision much easier. But if all 4 win, all 4 go. If Oregon beats Washington, they are going. Regardless of what happens in any other championship game, Oregon is playing. Pac-12 champion is going one way or the other. Either Washington's going to win and go, or Oregon is going to beat them and replace them. That's it. That's the discussion. Okay? All the other variables about Ohio State and Texas and Alabama with the heads-up game and all that, it's real simple. If Washington beats Oregon, they stay in. And if Oregon beats Washington, they replace them. There is not a slot available where a Pac-12 team is going to go. The winner of that game is going. That is a slot. However, I don't think the same is true for the Southeastern Conference. This is where a lot of people are hanging. I think this is the biggest hang-up. Is that in the 2 days we've been talking about this, Lonzo, and throwing out all these different scenarios and situations based on game scores and all that, I feel like the only one that has gotten pushback from the people, and you as the master of the people, as the people's champ up in here, Zoe, tell me if I'm incorrect here. The only scenario that I've thrown out there with the different combinations of playoff 4s has been if the SEC gets left out. That is, if Alabama beats Georgia, all of the other teams win, including Texas. Texas goes in over Alabama because they beat them heads up, and Alabama, as your SEC champ, gets left out. That seems to be the only one people are upset about.
Yeah, and because some people think it's impossible, including texters early on in the show when it was mentioned. There's no way that the SEC cannot be represented because they're the best and all this other stuff. But there absolutely is a way where that could happen if they're looking at it the way they should be, subjectively.
Yeah. Yeah. And I get it. Listen, the SEC is, right now, the SEC is the second best conference in football. Concurred. It is. The Pac-12 is the best conference in football this year. Not every year. This year.
Yeah, it won't be next year.
It won't be next year.
This year.
Or ever again. The Pac-12 is the best team in football this year. It is having a hell of a swan song. The SEC is the second best conference in football. I would make the argument the ACC is the third best, the Big 12 is the fourth, and the Big 10 is the least of the Power 5 conferences, which is why the only threat to go, in my opinion, is Michigan. I do not see a path for Ohio State to get in. I don't. So,
I don't know. Losing to Iowa would.
Michigan's gone too. I'll tell you this. Michigan loses to Iowa, the Big 10 does not have a playoff team either.
There's a good shot. You're right about that. Yeah.
Now, Michigan, of the five conference championship games, which one do you think is the least likely for the favorite to fall?
Yeah, Michigan.
It's Michigan, Iowa, 100%. But if the unthinkable happens and Michigan falls to Iowa, that will open up a slot. And I will tell you that an 11-1 Ohio State team, even ranked at number 6, an 11-1 Ohio State team that did not win its division is not going in over the multiple 12-1 teams, if there are multiple 12-1 teams that did not win the conference but were in the conference championship game. But Michigan would get bounced too. There is a path where the Southeastern Conference does not have a representative. There is a path where the Big 10 does not have a representative. There is also a path where the Pac-12 has 2, which is Oregon and Washington both going because they play a lights-out 5 overtime game and all the other ones bail.
And now, the Rob Brown Show presents Twitter.
We interrupt this sports talk to talk about what the X is going on.
Sports!
Yes. Take that, Ray. Let's start with a sports name, Soto.
Juan Soto. Juan Soto is probably not getting traded unless this just happened and I blew it. Juan Soto is probably not being traded by the San Diego Padres, but there is talk that they might trade him. And it came out, I want to say yesterday or the day before, that apparently the New York Yankees are going to make a big play for Juan Soto. And I got to tell you, I really like that for the Yankees. They need some pop in the lineup, and he would do it.
All right, the next thing that's Xing yo is Scanlon.
Scanman. All right, so he comes from, what an appropriate day to rock the D&D hockey jersey. Scanlon is, of course, a character from the Legends of Vox Machina television series on Amazon Prime, or the Critical Role online series. The guy who plays him, Sam, I have determined Lonzo is a genius. The dude's just a genius. He's just hysterical. That being said, no idea why he's trending.
Me either. And usually I check into, but I just wanted to say Scanlon, and I knew it would excite you. All right.
It did. It does.
All right. Time for one more, and that's Brian Danielson.
So it also just broke a little while ago. AEW formed a committee to determine the future of CM Punk, of Pepsi Phil, when he was in his dying gasps, metaphorically, not literally, with All Elite Wrestling. And apparently it just came out publicly that Brian Danielson, was on that committee. He was a voice who ended up getting CM Punk sent.
From what I've seen, he headed the committee.
He sent out a tweet earlier that said, doing the right thing isn't always easy. It may cost you money, but it is still the right thing to do. And now we know the context behind that. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it for us. Have a lovely rest of your afternoon. We'll be back tomorrow to do it all over again, but better, including Fight Club on the Rob Brown Radio program and the Fan Upstate later. Yeah. All right. Apparently, Scanlon is trending because the Critical Role crew got together to do a one-shot kind of out of the blue, out of randomly.
Mm-hmm.
But Liam was not available to play his new character. So they had Sam fill in as a special guest, and they all thought he was bringing a new character to the table. No, he just came as Scanlon in like a completely different world. He just showed up and Scanlon was like, I'm here, which means I'm going to watch it immediately.
Well, when something works, you know.
So apparently the way they did the one shot was that they had fans vote on what character class each player was going to play. So the fans got to assign the character to the actor, and they voted Liam to play a bard, but Liam was unavailable. So Scanlon went, you need a bard. I got one already. All right. That's all the nerd talk I'm going to throw at you guys today. Thank you, Skrilla. Appreciate that. I think we did a relatively good job on the program today. But that is all of the program that we are going to do today, because I want to go home. I have stuff to do first, so I'm going to go do that stuff. Then I'm going to go home. Have a lovely day, everyone. Thank you all for being here. Please tell all your friends and family and loved ones and not so loved ones about us, and we'll see you back here tomorrow. Goodbye.